So here's the deal with the world I live in. There's this thing called the forbidden fruit. Came from somewhere called the abyss, and if any living being eats it, they get the supernatural power they've been yearning for. The catch is you have to pay an equivalent price. Ever since it showed up, human society got completely reshuffled. Some people who ate it brought great benefits. Others brought calamities. Some animals ate it and caused so much destruction that humans had to build walls and cram into strongholds just to survive. Nobody can resist a forbidden fruit. If one shows up, it gets devoured on the spot. So to most people, the fruit is just a rumor. But the supernatural powers it gives out are way more accessible through other means, like vampire blood injections. Which brings me to my brilliant, desperate life choice. My name's Yucien, high school student, inherited a small factory from my dead dad. Normal trajectory, except fate had other plans. A year ago, I got diagnosed with ALS. Hereditary. Same thing that killed my dad. Hands getting weak, legs losing sensation, death creeping closer every day. The cheapest supernatural cure cost 60 or 70 million. The best one wanted 100 million flat. I could raise maybe 20 million after selling everything. Not even close. So I found a black market store that claimed they could get you anything. Sold what was left, and bought an injector pen full of third-generation vampire blood. The boss gave me the whole disclaimer. It's illegal. You become a wild vampire. The blood race sends cleansers after you. See, a few hundred years ago, the progenitor of the blood race ate a forbidden fruit and became a vampire. Now, they're one of the most powerful forces around. Only people who pass their trials get the first bite legally. Everyone else who tries to cheat the system, killed by cleansers. Without exception. I didn't care. I was dying anyway. Verified the blood with a silver ring. Paid up, went home, drew every curtain shut, and injected myself. A chill radiated from my bone marrow. Mind went hazy. Drowsiness hit like a freight train. I lay down, felt my heartbeat getting slower and slower, and passed out. A full day and night later, I woke up in the dark. Pressed my hand to my chest. About a minute of nothing. Then a grin spread across my face. My heart had stopped beating. Proof positive. I was a vampire. Here's how it works. A vampire's heart beats once a year. Every 10 heartbeats, you get a minor ability. Every 100, a major one. More food means faster growth, which is why even full vampires keep drinking blood. Every newly transformed vampire also gets an innate ability. I checked myself. Couldn't feel anything active, which meant passive. Passive abilities are annoying because they have to trigger on their own before you even know what they do. But before I could figure that out, I got hungry. Got out of bed, switched on the light, and froze. My body was eating the light, not reflecting it, consuming it, and it felt pleasant. Vampires are supposed to dislike artificial light. I was enjoying it. I stared at the bulb, and the uncertainty on my face turned into pure delight. Could my first ability be feeding on light? I walked to the window. I'd replaced all the curtains with blackout ones, but I could feel the sun hammering against them. Warmth radiating through the fabric. No discomfort. I craved it. So I grabbed the curtain, took a deep breath, and yanked it open. Morning sunlight flooded the room, and my hunger faded fast. I was feeding. My nourishment was sunlight itself. I was an anomaly among vampires. I fed on light. A light feeder. After that, I spent the next day just sunbathing on my third-floor balcony like the world's most relaxed lizard, lying on a lounge chair with sunglasses on, soaking it all in. Then I made a call. I phoned my homeroom teacher, Mr. Chun, told him I was coming back to school. I'd originally planned to ditch school entirely, but after discovering how insane my light feeder ability was, I figured being a student was the perfect cover. What kind of vampire goes to high school in broad daylight? Exactly. If other vampires ever got suspicious, a simple investigation would clear me. Nobody suspects the kid sitting in class. I put down the phone, and then it happened. My heart beat. Once. Just a single thump in my chest. I pressed my hand against it, eyes wide. Wasn't it supposed to beat once a year? Or once every 6 months with enough food? I'd been sunbathing for half a day. Half a day. This light feeder thing was way more powerful than I'd imagined. With all the sunlight around, I could feed way more efficiently than regular vampires feeding on blood. Half a day of sun was enough for one heartbeat. If I could manage 1 or 2 heartbeats per day, I'd hit 10 heartbeats in 5 to 10 days and gain a minor ability. 100 heartbeats in 100 days for a major ability. Even the progenitor of the blood race, who'd lived for several hundred years, I figured within 10 years I'd definitely surpass him. All I had to do was stay alive and keep a low profile. Monday morning, I walked to Silver City 3rd High in my school uniform, backpack on, enjoying the sun. Halfway there, this slightly chubby kid comes hustling over. "Zhang Shou, my lunch buddy. Salted fish, it's really you. Didn't you take a leave of absence?" That was his nickname for me. Salted fish. Because I was lazy and unmotivated. He wasn't wrong. I told him things got sorted out. We walked toward the school gate together. He wanted to buy me steamed dumplings, but I declined. After becoming a vampire, I could only eat blood and light. Regular food tasted like wax, and I couldn't digest it anyway. Not a great trade-off, but vampires get night vision, enhanced smell, rapid healing, and physical abilities way beyond ordinary humans. A vampire can crush over a dozen special forces soldiers without weapons. Me, being only 3 days into it, could handle maybe 1 or 2 trained soldiers. Any more than that, and I'd be the one getting beaten up. Also, male vampires get progressively more androgynously beautiful. Features get refined, build gets slimmer and more graceful. Which is a problem for wild vampires trying to stay hidden, because combined with a nocturnal lifestyle and blood drinking, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what you are. But since I was going to school in broad daylight, the blood race would at most suspect me of being a human-elf hybrid. I didn't have pointed ears, but I could walk in the sun. Case closed as far as they be concerned. We got to school, climbed 5 flights of stairs. Zhang Shou was already winded while I stood there looking fresh as a daisy. He asked if I was training behind his back. I pointed across the street to change the subject. Directly across from our school sat the Supernatural Academy, and security there was way tighter than usual. Men in suits patrolling the perimeter. Zhang Shou told me, flat as anything, that the blood race's little princess had been attacked recently. The cold apathy of someone who couldn't care less about supernatural politics. Our school and the Supernatural Academy were separated by 1 street, but existed in completely different worlds. The blood race's little princess. That got my attention. Could the blood I injected have been drawn from her? I asked Zhang Shou about her innate ability. He had no idea. But then Shun Ling, our class's self-appointed gossip queen, appeared and dropped the info. The princess's ability was Daywalker, the only vampire who could walk under the sun. That's why she caused such controversy in the blood race. Daywalker. My heart jolted. I was now even more certain the blood came from her. And if that was the case, my student cover might not be enough. What if the blood race figured out that a wild vampire made from her blood would also be immune to sunlight? Meanwhile, on the other side of town, things were getting a lot less chill. Late at night, in the basement of some villa in Silver City, more than a dozen men were hung upside down, blindfolded. Standing over them was this long-haired guy in a tailcoat named Roche. Delicate features, killing intent radiating off him like cologne. He was Nora's guardian, and he was pissed. Someone had stolen her blood, and he was taking it out on the black market crew who'd sold it to me. The leader of the group stayed calm, said he didn't know who bought the blood, wore a mask, rules of the trade, don't ask about customers. Roche didn't care about the rules. He plunged his hand straight into some guy's neck, condensed the blood into a sword, and went to work. The basement filled with screaming. By the end of the night, silence. Roche came upstairs, wiped his hands with a white towel his assistant handed him, and gave calm instructions. Track down the buyer. Around Nora's age, family with money, probably withdrew 25 million recently. Shouldn't be hard to find. His assistant, Tang Bo, started to say he'd catch the bastard, but Roche cut him off. Bring him back alive. Let Nora deal with him herself. The Duke said it was time for Miss Nora to take her first life. See, Nora had been attacked by those ordinary humans with silver weapons, and even though she should have been able to handle it, she froze up. Got wounded. If they'd been trying to kill her, she'd be dead. Roche felt kind of bad about the whole thing. He could only assign human bodyguards since Nora could walk in sunlight, which meant he couldn't exactly protect her directly during the day. Anyway, while all that was going on, I was sitting in class, soaking up sunlight like a solar panel. I'd found the perfect seat, fourth row on the left, where the afternoon sun hit directly. Even with curtains closed, you could feel the heat. I used to hate that seat. Now I loved it. My routine was simple. Daytime, stay at school, bask in the sun. Nighttime, go home, follow online combat courses. I knew I'd stepped into the supernatural world, whether I liked it or not, and violence was inevitable eventually. Better start training now. My body was getting stronger by the day. I could do 1,000 one-finger handstand push-ups without breaking a sweat. One-finger dead hang, no problem. A simple punch generated over a ton of force. I could literally punch a bull to death. I wasn't sure if that was strong or weak for a vampire. Never heard vampires being special in raw strength. Werewolves, Wiccans, knights, martial artists, those were the brute force types. I was sitting there, wondering what ability I'd awaken when my heart gave a violent thump. Way more intense than the previous beats. It felt like something erupted from my heart, surged through every artery, every limb, every bone. The shock hit my brain, and deep in my consciousness, I heard thunder rumbling, like some power was condensing within my soul through my bloodline. And then I knew. My first minor ability was called Silver Blood. After school, I went home and dug out the silver ring I'd used to verify the vampire blood. Vampires fear silver. Not as lethal as sunlight, but it suppresses their regeneration. Silver wounds are nearly impossible for vampires to recover from. Most vampires end up hibernating because of it. I'd heard even brief contact caused burning. Prolonged contact caused ulceration. I held the ring. Felt nothing. Crushed it into a lump. Still nothing. My silver blood ability made me completely immune. But that wasn't even the main thing. I could consume silver and convert all my blood into silver blood. Once fully converted, my physicals would get even better, and I could generate silver whips or threads to attack. The immunity was just a bonus. This was a jackpot beyond jackpots. I extended my fangs, pressed the crushed ring against them, and sucked it in like jelly. The silver fused with my blood. Silver blood was slightly warmer than my cold vampire blood. Heat flowing through me. Kinda nice, but way too little. Silver was insanely expensive. The blood race was buying it all up, driving the price past golds. Never put it back in circulation. They actually had a rule that anyone who donated over 10 tons of silver could become a vampire without trials. Some rich people took that deal. Immortality's a great motivator. I spent all night trying to figure out how to get more. Considered the black market store, but those people were insane enough to target a blood race princess. Not going back. Safety first. Next morning, sunbathing on the balcony, this foul stench kept drifting in. Dead rat in a garbage heap. Disgusting. I sniffed around, caught it, then it vanished. Then I realized I could only smell it when silver blood flowed through my nose. It enhanced my sense of smell. I focused it. Stench came back. Followed it, looked down over the balcony. Coming from below. The family directly under me, a lawyer, his wife, and their fourth-grade daughter. They couldn't all be dead. I'd seen them yesterday. Gave up thinking about it. Not my business. Time for school. On the way downstairs, I ran into the daughter with her school bag. Focused silver blood through my nose. Strong, concentrated stench from her. Redirected it to my right eye. Through my enhanced eye, I saw countless red worms tangled together, writhing under her skin. My trypophobia went into overdrive. She said good morning cheerfully. I saw worm-like tentacles writhing inside her mouth. Forced a smile back and got out of there fast. On the way to school, I kept catching whiffs from passersby. Reminded me of the Hibiscus City tragedy from a year ago. A mysterious parasite had hollowed out everyone's brains at a middle school there. Only got discovered because a student who'd secretly eaten a forbidden fruit transferred in and realized the whole school was living corpses. That incident led to a citywide medical exam in Silver City. That's why they diagnosed me with ALS. Didn't expect those parasites to have quietly infiltrated here. Should I report it? They'd eliminate the parasites, but they'd also do another city-wide exam. If I went through that, my identity as a wild vampire would be exposed. Zhang Shou found me spacing out. I said I didn't sleep well. He yawned and asked if I'd been up on that forum. I had no idea what forum. He explained this place, called the Forum, where people tracked forbidden fruit appearances and predicted where they'd show up. He was definitely fighting for one if it appeared here. I had zero interest, too busy worrying about parasites. When I got to school, the students were doing morning exercise. I used silver blood to scan them, and my heart sank. 30% of the entire school was infected. Silver City's situation was worse than Hibiscus City's. It wouldn't be long before the parasites got discovered, and once that happened, it was only a matter of time before I was exposed too. I pulled out my phone and read everything about the Hibiscus City tragedy. The parasite was officially named the aberrant parasite 6 months ago, but transmission methods were still unknown. Here's the life cycle. An egg enters a living organism, joins the bloodstream, takes root in the heart. Feelers burst from the eggshell, secrete anesthetic fluid, and slowly consume the host's flesh from within until only the brain remains. The host stays conscious the entire time, trapped in darkness, unable to see or feel anything. Pure psychological torture. In the host's final moment of despair, the parasite starts eating the brain. Once that's done, it imitates all the host behaviors, becoming nearly indistinguishable from the original person. During the imitation process, the parasite realizes it's not the host, just an independent entity wearing the host's intelligence. If the host was human, the parasite acquires human intelligence and becomes exceptionally cunning. That's the adult stage, loaded with eggs. Several adult-stage parasites showed up during the Hibiscus incident. Took the sacrifice of several ant-rank combat police officers and a bunch of special police to eliminate them. Even then, many people went missing, likely adult-stage parasites still on the run. I thought about the little girl who'd greeted me that morning. If she still had self-awareness in there. I squeezed my phone so hard the screen cracked and went black. Damn it, that was my second phone I'd broken. My only income now was a 3-bedroom apartment I was renting out. Had to be careful with money. Then a commotion broke out. Zhang Shou came rushing in. The Blood Race's little princess was transferring to our school. I frowned. Our school was ordinary. What did she learn here? Was I exposed? Had she come to confront me? Chunling appeared, of course, with the full scoop. The princess had been ostracized at the Supernatural Academy because ordinary humans had attacked her using silver weapons, and she'd frozen up. The Supernatural kids thought it was embarrassing, so they gave her the cold shoulder. Her status in the Blood Race was already awkward, mixed blood and all, so there wasn't much they could do. She transferred here instead of another Supernatural Academy. At 2 p.m., Nora walked into our classroom. Long golden hair, bandaged right arm, cool detached aura. The entire classroom froze. Even the girls were captivated. As a supernatural being, her beauty was on a completely different level. Mr. Chun had to clear his throat twice before anyone snapped out of it. Nora swept her gaze across the room and cast a subtle glance at me. The Blood Race had found me. 25 million wasn't pocket change, easy to trace. Combined with the buyer's age and gender, they'd zeroed in on me fast. Originally, Tangbo was supposed to capture me and Nora would personally kill me. But after learning my background, Nora's father changed his mind. I'd just become a vampire, same age as Nora, perfect training target. If she hunted me down and killed me on her own, she'd grow stronger. At least enough that next time she got attacked, she wouldn't freeze like a dazed goose. Within the Blood Race, a father's command was absolute. That's why Nora transferred here. The ostracization rumors Chunling heard were partly true, but Nora didn't care about those kids at all. Different circles entirely. After she introduced herself, the teacher put her in the 4th row on the right, same row as me. Her first ability was Daywalker. At 10, she'd awakened Bloodflame. She wanted to use it to burn me to ash for making her the laughingstock of the Supernatural Academy, but she wasn't reckless. She figured since I shared the Daywalker ability, I probably shared her resistance to light and fire. Couldn't guarantee a one-shot kill. If she failed, a male vampire's physical advantage meant she might lose. So she prepared a secret weapon, a short silver blade. Her plan was simple: get close, lower my guard, then drive the blade into my heart in one strike. I sat there wrestling with whether to report the parasites until the bell finally rang. Walked out of class, stood by the corridor railing, staring into the distance. Cool breeze hit my face. I closed my eyes, but that foul stench flashed by again, and any momentary peace got replaced by heaviness. I was afraid of death. Not just any death, but the kind my dad suffered. A slow, painful wait for the end. I'd taken care of everything for him, so I knew what it was like. Unable to move, needing machines to breathe and swallow. Being devoured until only the brain remained was worse. Way worse. And because I understood, I could empathize with those poor hosts trapped in darkness. I made up my mind. I'd report it. I wasn't human anymore, but I couldn't abandon my humanity. If my identity got exposed, worst case I'd flee into the wilderness and come back when I was invincible. Vampires couldn't find me out there. I didn't need blood or normal food. As long as the sun kept rising, I feared no war of attrition. I walked over to Zhang Shou, who was chatting with Chun Ling, and borrowed his phone. Mine was cracked from when I'd squeezed it too hard. Dialed the Public Security Bureau. Told them aberrant parasites had infiltrated Silver City. Many people infected. Situation extremely urgent. Before I could finish, a different voice came on the line. A high-pitched man's voice. Oh dear, looks like we've been exposed. My eyes went wide. Mouth open, no words coming out. Even the sunlight on my body couldn't dispel the chill in my heart. The voice kept going, completely unbothered. Since we've been exposed, let's play a game. Thank you for your call. Try not to die, little brother. The line went dead. I crushed the phone. Had the parasites already infiltrated the Public Security Bureau? Before I could process that, a chemical plant in the distance erupted with blinding light. A split second later, a deafening roar and violent tremors shattered every window in the school. Students screamed. Then the infected ones rose from their seats, expressionless. 6 crimson tentacles, each 3 meters long, burst from each of their backs. Zhang Shou vaulted through a window into the corridor. A tentacle coiled around his neck instantly. Then a flash of silver, and the tentacle was severed. I'd condensed what little silver blood I had at my fingertips and cut it free. I shouted for everyone to get behind me. I charged through the window, flipped into the classroom, sliced through a tentacle around Chun Ling's neck mid-flip. She gasped out a thank you. I shoved her behind me with Zhang Shou, severed more tentacles, grabbed a chair, slammed a charging parasite into the floor, stomped its head, swung the chair in rapid arcs. Every sweep sent parasites crashing. The chair was too light, barely any effort with my ton of strength, but it warped after a few hits. Useless as a weapon. Zhang Shou was holding his own with the chair too, staring at me like I'd lost my mind. Holy shit, don't tell me salted fish ate a forbidden fruit. Chun Ling's eyes were sparkling. Yuxian is so handsome, so manly. I told them to stop gawking and help the others. The worst part was Nora. Despite being a vampire, she was dangling helplessly in midair, tentacle around her neck, legs kicking wildly. I'd suspected she'd transferred here to deal with me. Seeing this performance, I dismissed that immediately. Even an ordinary person could handle her like this. More tentacles came at Zhang Shou, ripped his chair away. He shouted for me to save him. I turned, saw parasites from other classrooms closing in. Had to get to the rooftop. Single access point, we could hold the choke point. I hurled my chair, leaped over desks, grabbed another one, smashed it into the parasite, strangling Nora. Shouted retreat to the rooftop, hoisted the fallen Nora onto my shoulder, and charged out. Surviving students followed. Any parasite in the way got sent flying or crushed by my punches. The building was only 6 stories, our class on the 5th floor. Less than a minute to the rooftop. I set Nora down, pushed her toward Chun Ling, turned to guard the door, kicked the tailing parasites back down the stairs. Leaned against the door, absorbing sunlight to recover. Zhang Shou asked what was going on. I said I didn't know. I truly had no idea what the parasite's objective was. Worse, whoever that voice on the phone belonged to could command a swarm with a single sentence. Dangerous entity. I told everyone to check for anything useful. Nora weakly spoke up. It was 4:30, only 2.5 hours until nightfall. Her guardian Roche would rush over then. I thought 2.5 hours was too long, but then she pulled out a weapon. A bracelet that produced a red handgun from thin air. Spatial storage equipment. Everyone stared. I tested the gun, handed it back, asked if she had anything else. She produced a half-meter silver short blade. I gave her a faint smile when I took it. She blushed. She knew I'd guessed something. 2.5 hours was too long. By the time Nora's guardian got here, the parasites would have devoured us all. Plus, I knew Nora was aware of my identity. Once her guardian showed up, I'd be in grave danger. Most students in other classrooms were already wiped out. If the parasites went all out, I could probably escape with 1 or 2 people by jumping off the roof. Everyone else would be doomed. I told Zhang Shou to hold the door while I tried fashioning a weapon from the wire mesh fence. Then Nora spoke up. She had a weapon, a bracelet, and a red handgun appeared from thin air. Everyone stared. Someone actually gasped about spatial storage equipment. First time seeing the real thing. I tested the handgun, handed it back, asked if she had anything else. The gun only had a few dozen rounds, and I'd never fired one, so I'd probably waste all the ammo without killing anything. Nora produced a half-meter silver short blade. Said it had strong suppression effects against vampires. I took it with a faint smile. She blushed. She knew I'd figured something out. Under everyone's bewildered stares, I crushed the blade into a silver ball the size of a shot put, opened my mouth, and took a bite. Perfect. I was just getting hungry. Nora stared at me like I was an inconceivable monster. I ate the rest of the silver. Warmth spread through me. Senses heightened across the board. I could perceive the slightest movement within hundreds of meters. Then I took a deep breath and my body turned black. Zhang Shou panicked. I told him I was fine. Better than ever. I'd used silver blood to enhance my light absorption. Previously, some light still reflected off me. Now, zero reflection. I was a perfect black object. During daytime, people could barely make me out. At night, I'd be completely invisible in darkness. In this state, I recovered strength fast. Even injuries healed instantly with that much food available. I told everyone to stay put and headed downstairs. Once I left, Chun-Ling asked the others what they thought my ability was. Nora spoke up. She didn't think I'd eaten a forbidden fruit. Anyone who becomes supernatural through one starts at Eagle rank. If I were Eagle rank, clearing the school would have been effortless. See, since the forbidden fruits appeared, different supernatural systems had their own ranking hierarchies, which was a total mess. Eventually, the world's strongest beings held a summit and established a unified system. From bottom to top, insect rank, ant rank, bee rank, sparrow rank, serpent rank, eagle rank, wolf rank, tiger rank, dragon rank, god rank. Even the weakest insect rank could slaughter ordinary humans effortlessly. Some big shot once said the insect rank was named to remind new supernaturals that before true powerhouses, they were still nothing but insects. Zhang Shou asked what rank I was. Nora guessed upper insect or lower ant. Then she asked if there was any chance I was a vampire. Everyone burst out laughing. A vampire who doesn't fear sunlight and eats silver? No way. Nora couldn't refute them logically. Not fearing sunlight could be explained by Daywalker, but eating silver? She wondered if I had some ability that let me consume silver. If I turned into a vampire using her blood, it had only been a few days. I couldn't have awakened a second ability. Plus, I could turn my body completely black. That was 3 abilities total. Impossible for a new vampire. She decided I couldn't possibly be one and that Roche and the others had made a mistake. Meanwhile, I was downstairs, strolling through the 6th-floor corridor, fingers dancing like a pianist. Sliced 3 parasites to pieces with silver threads. About 40% of my blood had converted to silver blood now. With enough supply, I could unleash incomparably sharp silver threads, made from the fusion of my blood and silver. Supple, sharp, resilient, and they moved according to my will. Concrete walls, steel railings, cut through them like soft tofu. More parasites poured from classrooms. I cut them down before they got close. A silver thread swept the corridor, severing every charging parasite at the waist. One parasite inhabiting a teacher saw the carnage, got scared, and roared for the others to kill me. They charged. One thought, one silver thread. Every parasite in the corridor split in two. The teacher parasite had already fled, obviously smarter than the student-hosted ones. Then I heard distant gunfire. The authorities hadn't been wiped out. They'd finally started their counterattack. Reinforcements. Finally. The gunfire was like music to my ears. All I had to do now was kill without restraint and wipe out every parasite in the school. But just as I was heading downstairs, a pained groan reached me. I turned into one of the classrooms. In a corner littered with mangled remains, a survivor was barely breathing. Meanwhile, at Songshan Psychiatric Hospital in Silver City, things were going very differently. Countless parasites were devouring the medical staff. Director Chun Ching-song was cowering in a cabinet in his office. The parasites inhabiting psychiatric patients were way more violent than the ones in ordinary humans. Less sensitive to pain, far more mobile. The hospital's armed guards managed one shot before getting killed. The office door got shoved open. A gaunt man in a patient's gown strolled in, relaxed, unhurried. Searching around, calling for the director. "It's me, Zhou Tai." He stopped in front of the cabinet, knocked gently. "Are you in there? Are you not? Are you in there? Are you not?" After a moment, he looked disappointed, murmured that the director wasn't here. What a shame. He wanted to share a massive secret. He turned to leave. Chun Ching-song let out a quiet breath of relief. Zhou Tai was the most dangerous patient in the hospital. Dissociative identity disorder. Every alternate personality was horrifying. Murderers, skinning artists, finger collectors, cannibalistic maniacs. Restrained 24/7. Chun Ching-song didn't know how Zhou Tai had broken free or why the parasites didn't attack him. He just wanted nothing to do with him. But just as he thought Zhou Tai had left, the cabinet door got yanked open. "Found you, my dear director." Zhou Tai pulled him into the office chair, sat across from him. Chun Ching-song stammered, asked what he wanted. Just wanted to share a secret. Leaned forward and whispered about what lives inside the human body. A parasite, a very special one. It enters the body, slowly hollows out the host from inside. The host stays conscious the entire time, trapped in darkness, waiting to be devoured. Chun Ching-song's face went ashen. Zhou Tai continued. After the parasite finishes the brain, it imitates the host. Thinks it is the host. Lives the host's life. But deep down, it knows it's not. Then he paused and smiled. Asked if Chun Ching-song knew what happens when a parasite realizes it's not the host. Chun Ching-song shook his head, tears streaming. It becomes very, very hungry. Zhou Tai's eyes went bloodshot, because it realizes it doesn't just want to be the host. It wants to consume everything, every living thing. Spread, multiply, fill the world. He stood, arms wide. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. The door burst open. Armed officers stormed in. "Freeze!" Zhou Tai grinned. 6 crimson tentacles burst from his back, whipping toward them. They fired, but bullets passed through like the tentacles were water. The tentacles wrapped around the officers, crushing them one by one. When Chun Ching-song opened his eyes, Zhou Tai was standing over him, covered in blood, still smiling. Told him not to worry. He wouldn't hurt the director. He was going to be his messenger. Go out and tell everyone the aberrant parasites were here. No escape. Then he walked out. Once the other students got a grip, I headed downstairs to clear the remaining parasites. Zhang Shou and the others stayed to handle the wounded. Nora mustered her courage and said she was coming with me. I looked at her like she was a gleaming golden dazed goose and was about to refuse when she added that she'd give me 10 kilograms of silver. I immediately said deal. Silver was ridiculously expensive. 10 kilos would last me a long time. We hit the 5th floor. I flickered my finger, silver threads cut down several parasites. Nora drew her gun and fired. A gunshot, and the parasite exploded. I was surprised. Hadn't expected those bullets to be that powerful. She stared at the fallen parasite, frantically whispering that she'd actually hit it. Then she kept firing, exploding parasite after parasite. Each classroom had maybe 5 to 10 infected students out of 25 to 30. For classrooms per floor, roughly 30 to 40 parasites. Nora's gun held 15 bullets. She killed 15 in succession, then fumbled to reload. The parasites rushed her, but my silver threads cut them down before they got close. Same plan on the 4th floor. Nora takes out some with the gun, exposes an opening while reloading. Parasites charge, I wipe them out. 3rd floor. I asked if she had enough bullets. She said more than enough, brought 100,000 rounds. After the attack by ordinary humans, she'd gone out of her way to stock up. We cleared the 3rd floor in 1 minute. On the way to the 2nd floor, she asked quietly if I was a vampire too. I kept walking, told her yes. I had ALS. If I hadn't become a vampire, I'd have died. I'd heard that because of me, she got attacked and ostracized. I was sorry. Since that phone call, I'd already prepared myself. Once this crisis was over, I'd go on the run until I was invincible. She muttered, "Is that so?" with a complicated look. On the 2nd floor, she cleared her head, opened fire. I finished off the rest with silver threads. Then the teacher parasite from earlier ran out, vaulted over the railing, and leaped to the courtyard below. I jumped after him. Before I could move, a gunshot rang out. The upper half of the teacher's body exploded. Nora stood on the 2nd floor, gun in hand, flashing a sly smile. Wind lifted her golden hair. For a moment, I was caught off guard. I silently corrected myself. She wasn't a gleaming golden dazed goose. She was a beautiful dazed goose. Then Nora's eyes filled with terror. "Watch out!" A black shadow flashed past me. I started dodging, but it still severed one of my arms. A signboard slammed onto the stairs behind me, my blood dripping through the words "School ahead, slow down." A woman in a business suit crouched on the perimeter wall. Crazed smile. "Little brother, I've come to play with you." But the voice was a man's. I recognized it. The bastard from the phone. She leaped down. "Let me introduce myself. My name is Zhou Tai. I used to be human, but now I am an aberrant parasite." She walked over to the dead teacher parasite, crouched, scared about wasting such a powerful body. Nora fired 3 shots from the 2nd floor. No explosion. 3 bullets appeared in Zhou Tai's hand. He stood up smiling. Bullets weren't actually that fast. All aberrant parasites could dodge them. They've been pretending to be human too long. Even after their consciousness awakened, they still unconsciously followed human habits. Reaction times and speed constrained by their own subconscious. Humans had self-preservation mechanisms that limited them to about 50% of their true potential. But Zhou Tai's personality was different. A maniac who never cared about his physical well-being. He'd completely unlocked this woman's body's full power. He flicked the 3 bullets back at Nora. My silver threads intercepted them midair. My body had already turned pitch black. I swept my finger downward, silver threads slashing toward Zhou Tai. Zhou Tai was in the body of a tall woman, about 1.7 meters. Faced with my silver threads, he twisted and writhed like a deflating balloon, dodging easily. Then he raised an arm. The skin split apart. Countless tentacles intertwined into a grotesquely thick limb. He laughed boisterously. "Here comes the fist." He launched himself at me. I jumped sideways, rolled across the ground. Losing my arm had hurt badly. With my right hand, I'd have shredded him instantly. His fist smashed a half-meter crater into the ground where I'd been standing. Enough power to blast through a person. I slammed my left hand into the ground, tunneled silver threads underground, and burst them up around him in a massive net. Even then, Zhou Tai smiled. His body burst apart into a swarm of tentacles that wriggled through the net's gaps, dragging the deflated human skin with them, like an octopus squeezing through impossibly small gaps. The tentacles burrowed back into the skin. In a blink, he was a young woman again. His control over that body was extraordinary. Most parasites could never pull off something like that. Then he spotted my severed arm a few meters away. Tentacles scooped it up and bored inside. Parasites could simulate the flesh and nerves of other beings, taking complete control of their bodies. It was their most basic ability. Otherwise, the host's brain would have died from oxygen deprivation ages ago. Jotai swung my severed arm around like a weapon, occasionally extending it to punch at me. We tore across the sports field in a deadly game of cat and mouse. I lashed out with silver threads, but he moved like he was dancing, slipping past every attack. My attacks posed virtually no threat. He was too agile, could reshape himself too fast. Several times I wove massive nets he slipped through. Meanwhile, he'd managed to graze me several times. Minor wounds, healed instantly thanks to being a vampire. Then a gunshot. Jotai arched backward to dodge. The bullet streaked past his chest and exploded on impact. Perfect opening. I spun around, lashed out with a dense swarm of silver threads from every angle. Jotai tried his octopus trick again, but Nora fired another shot just as he broke free. The explosion severed a vast cluster of his tentacles. The rest retreated deep into the woman's skin as he rolled backward. Nora fired several more times, all missed. Jotai was too fast. He landed on a tree branch, glared at Nora with venomous hatred. "Bitch, I was having fun with little brother here." Neither of us said a word. Tacit understanding. Strike while the iron was hot. Bullets and silver threads converged on him. Gunfire blasted the tree. Silver threads shredded it to fragments. But Jotai had already leaped backward to the perimeter wall. Cheerful smile. "Little brother, let's have fun again next time." Then his expression twisted at Nora. "And you filthy bitch, you're dead." More bullets and threads came. He flipped backward and vanished. His original plan had been to kill me or play with me until the woman's body was ruined. But after getting my arm and realizing it was anything but ordinary, he decided to retreat and take it with him. We stood there for a long while, making sure he was really gone. I sank onto the ground, exhausted. Nora came down from the second floor, jogged over. Our eyes met. A brief tacit smile. She said it was terrifying, never seen anything like it. I agreed we'd managed to drive him away. Then she pressed her gun against my lower back. I raised my only remaining hand. She told me there were blood race members 1,000 times stronger than that monster. Her father's patience was limited. He sent her to kill me, and if she didn't act soon, he'd send someone worse. I laughed. So she decided to kill me first? She lowered the gun, said she'd give me advice. I should try to join Cheelin. I asked if she seriously meant the legendary Cheelin existed. She said no. Cheelin was a government organization. She'd heard that 3 years ago, a wild vampire like me joined Cheelin, and the blood race completely called off the hunt. My eyes lit up. A government organization. That sounded way more reliable than living as a hermit in the wilderness. If I could live normally, I would. I wasn't eager to become a hermit in the wilderness. I just had no other choice. Nora handed me her phone, password 6 with strict instructions not to look at her photo album or browsing history, or she'd shoot me. I searched for Cheelin online. Got nothing but myths and legends, and some forum poster who claimed he'd seen one in the wild. Nora laughed. I kept a straight face and said a quick search wouldn't hurt. She pulled out a blood pack from her bracelet, bit into it, and tossed me one. I declined. I might be a vampire, but I don't do blood. She coaxed me, said it was synthetic blood plasma. After some back and forth, I gave in. Curious myself, what did it taste like? I pierced it with my fangs. Vitality surged through me, warmth in every cell. Felt completely different from sunlight. My consciousness drifted. Mind went blank. When I came to, the school was surrounded by soldiers. I stood up, looked at Nora. "What did you put in that blood?" She smiled. "Just ordinary synthetic blood plasma." She hadn't expected me to get blood drunk like her cousin. Drinking blood affected vampires the same way alcohol affected humans. I was speechless. Some vampires could get drunk on blood. Good to discover that weakness early. The cleanup was handled by the soldiers. Silver City was under martial law, so going home was out of the question. I slept straight through the night in a tent. Showed that vampires didn't need sleep after all. The rumor about never needing rest probably spread because our energy recovery usually far exceeded expenditure. Or maybe regenerating an entire arm took a lot out of me. Yes, my right arm had fully regenerated overnight. The new one looked almost identical to the old one, except even more perfect. I'd always been right-handed, so my right arm was slightly bigger, Now both arms were identical, which meant better balance overall. Stepped out into the sunlight and felt like a phone connected to a charger. Energy rushed through me, thoughts accelerated, everything crystal clear. Zhang Shou and the other survivors were sitting in a row, watching the school. Soldiers in hazmat suits were sanitizing everything. I sat down next to Zhang Shou. He told me grimly that barely 100 survivors from the whole school, most with permanent disabilities. If Nora and I hadn't cleared the academic building, the number would have been 30 or 40. I fell silent. Several girls started sobbing. Even Zhang Shou's eyes turned red. He asked about his parents, then his phone. I told him I'd accidentally broken it during the chaos. He said it was nothing compared to what I'd done for him. Chun-Ling brought over noodles. Even though normal food tasted like cardboard and gave me indigestion now, I didn't want to reject her kindness. She noticed my arm had regrown. I chuckled, said one sleep, and it grew back. Took a bite of noodles. Frowned. Looked up at the male teacher, handing out breakfast nearby. Asked Chun-Ling who he was. Mr. Yue, grade 9 PE teacher. Hadn't had classes yesterday, was sleeping in the dormitory, which is why he escaped the parasite attack. I kept my eyes on him. My enhanced smell and vision couldn't detect anything wrong, but something felt off. A nagging unease. The authorities should have vetted everyone. Nobody should have slipped through. Even while I ate my noodles, a voice inside me kept screaming a warning. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. I watched you weigh like a hawk until noon. Nothing. Normal scent. No tentacles. Steady heartbeat. He had kidney stones, lower back strain, rhinitis. Regular middle-aged PE teacher. Baffling. Zhang Shou asked why I didn't report him. I said they believe me? What if they found nothing? Where was Nora? Her bodyguards had picked her up, her father being the blood race's diplomatic envoy. I sighed. She could be airhead, like a beautiful dazed goose, but she was smart. Just appeared dazed during critical moments. In the afternoon, all students got questioned in separate tents. My turn. A man and a woman. Told me not to be nervous. Name, gender, age, race. When they asked race, I said human. Vampire? Uncertainly. The woman smiled warmly, said as long as I consider myself human, I could say human. I firmly said human. Either way, I was never drinking blood again for the rest of my life. They asked me to recount the previous day in detail. Initially relaxed, taking notes. As the story went on, their expressions completely changed. This kid discovered the parasites. The Public Security Bureau was infiltrated. He encountered the suspected leader. They exchanged wide-eyed glances, told me to wait, and hurried out with the report. An hour of tense waiting. Then a square-jawed, middle-aged man and an imposing young man entered. Jin Sheng and Jin Dajuan. The moment Jin Sheng stepped in, I felt like staring directly into the sun. His heartbeat roared like a lion. Definitely not ordinary. Jin Dajuan chuckled, said don't be nervous. I'd exposed the parasite's plot, forced them to act prematurely, saved so many classmates. Nobody was giving me a hard time. Jin Sheng played an audio clip. Noisy, punctuated by screams. A strange male voice speaking eerily. It was from a listening device Chen Qingsong's wife had secretly installed in his office for divorce evidence. Both dead now, but the recording had captured a crucial conversation. I said the voice was about 60% similar, but the tone was practically identical. Definitely Zhou Tai. Both men looked solemn. Zhou Tai had been extremely dangerous as an ordinary human. Now his twisted personalities could control parasites and even inhabit one. Threat level had skyrocketed. I asked what the parasite's original plan had been. Jin Dajuan took a deep breath. If I hadn't exposed them, they'd have gradually devoured all of Silver City. Every ordinary human would become food or host until the city turned into their nest. If that happened, we'd lose any chance of wiping them out completely. Jin Sheng gave me a meaningful look. They already knew my background. Good kid with ALS, forced into becoming a wild vampire, acted out of righteousness. Tens of millions survived because of me. With that golden shield, the state wouldn't abandon me. No force would dare touch me. I rubbed my hands together and asked about joining Qilin. Jin Sheng froze, shot a glance at Jin Dajuan. Jin Dajuan immediately protested it wasn't him. Hadn't said a word. First time meeting me. Jin Sheng asked who I'd heard about Qilin from. Jin Dajuan laughed, said it must have been Marcus's precious daughter. Then he couldn't help boasting. His son Jin Sheng was Qilin rank 89, codename Lion Radiance. And Jin Dajuan was his old man. Jin Sheng stared at his dad, completely speechless. The man had bragged to every comrade about his son joining Qilin. Jin Sheng sighed and asked if I was certain. His original plan had been for me to request state protection. The state would notify the blood race, declare me under their protection. As long as I didn't leave the country, they wouldn't dare touch me. The public hyped the blood race as powerful, but nationally they were second-rate. Not even a dragon-rank powerhouse. They survived because they knew their place. For someone like me, who'd saved tens of millions, the blood race didn't amount to a hill of beans. Here's something most people don't know about the blood race. They're actually not that powerful. Vampires fear the sun, silver, garlic, crucifixes, and their only food is blood. Go without feeding long enough, and they mummify into a deep slumber until blood spills on them. If becoming a vampire weren't one of the easiest paths to immortality, they'd be third or fourth-rate at best. Their reputation comes from being obscenely rich. Vampire tycoons hire online trolls to hype how powerful and terrifying they are. Creates the illusion that crossing a vampire means death. In reality, any of the 5 major nations could crush them. They survived because they knew their place. I thought joining Qilin would be incredibly difficult, maybe require grueling trials. Nope. The very next day, Jin Sheng placed an ID badge, a firearm, and a specialized smartphone right in front of me. He suppressed a grin while keeping a deadpan expression. Codename Salted Fish, rank 6,330th. I picked up the badge, turned it over repeatedly. Is this for real? He said every public security bureau in the country could verify it and offer cooperation unconditionally. The Wickedness Purging Squad had 5 members, now 6 with me. We took missions individually, only assembled for Sparrow rank and above. Insect and Ant rank missions were free to accept solo. B rank needed 2 or more. Squads under Qilin enjoyed incredible autonomy because most members were supernatural beings with vastly different abilities. Forcing them together could actually cause their strength to stagnate. The aberrant parasite incident was classified Tiger rank, not because of combat prowess but threat level. Mission complete only when every single parasite was wiped out. Extremely difficult since nobody knew how it spread or current numbers. I mentioned Yue, my suspect. Might be a parasite, no evidence. Jin Sheng's demeanor turned serious. I explained I'd observe him all day, found nothing, but still got that feeling every time I saw him. Something was absolutely off. Without hesitation, Jin Sheng walked outside. Since I thought he was suspicious, they'd detain him and check. Soldiers apprehended Yue. No resistance, just panic. Jin Sheng asked if I still felt something off. I nodded. Absolutely. Couldn't detect, what with my current abilities. Jin Sheng chose to trust me unconditionally. Qilin's archives had cases where a captain ignored a squad member's detection and it led to disaster. Only 2 survivors. Every captain now made it an absolute rule to back their teammates. Yue cried out for help. Jin Sheng sealed his mouth with golden light. Told me to do whatever I saw fit. Dissect him. Chop him into pieces, he didn't care. I gave Yue a sympathetic glance. Condensed a razor-thin silver thread at my fingertip, slowly pierced into Yue's neck, weaving through his body inch by inch. Examined every blood vessel, organ, bone, nerve fiber. Then my eyes narrowed. The silver thread brushed against something anomalous. Yue's head rotated 90 degrees. Face twisted into a wrinkled, convulsing mass. Zhou voice came from inside his head. I got found out again. As expected, little brother, you're really the aberrant parasite's greatest enemy. Nerve fibers burst from his eye sockets, nostrils, and ears lashing at me. Jin Sheng erupted in golden light, blocked the attack with one hand, and grabbed the parasite firmly. He muttered that's how it was. No wonder he couldn't detect anything. The parasite hadn't completely taken over Yue. It had camouflaged itself as a single strand of nerve fibers. Because Yue was still alive, no foul stench. Because it mimicked nerve fibers perfectly, detecting it was virtually impossible without slicing someone open. The only reason I felt something off was likely because Zhou Tai was actively using Yue's eyes to spy on me, and my instincts flagged the hostile gaze. Without that, I wouldn't have noticed either. If left unchecked, parasites could infiltrate the entire nation without anyone discovering them. This discovery was a monumental breakthrough. That night, Qilin headquarters sent several high-ranking executives to Silver City. Big shots who'd flown straight from the capital. I ran into a few of them. Their auras were like monstrous overlords. They all smiled warmly, shook my hand, patted my head, called me a good kid. I stayed stiff as a board the whole time. Felt like a tiny chick that had stumbled into a pride of lions. The next day, one of them took away Yue's corpse and the captured aberrant parasite. Qilin headquarters would research them extensively, maybe develop a way to screen for hidden parasite victims. I sat outside my tent in the blazing midday sun, browsing my Qilin-issued smartphone. Waterproof, dustproof, drop-resistant, fireproof, shockproof, perfect signal in most remote areas. The Qilin app had tons of fascinating sections. My favorite was the archive. Massive collection of records on supernatural incidents various squads had resolved. Files on criminals who'd accidentally gotten powers, animals that wreaked havoc after eating forbidden fruits, how squads matched wits and brawn to handle them. Also cautionary tales where infighting or a captain failing to trust squad members led to disaster and casualties. The state made these files open so members could keep learning and avoid getting misled by bizarre abilities. I was taking a lot. I'd always assumed eating a forbidden fruit meant soaring to great heights overnight. Turns out they came with serious limitations. One case, a youth named Qin Xing found a forbidden fruit on his balcony, became a god after eating it. The price was his sense of self getting completely erased. Now he was sealed in Qilin's supernatural containment facility, classified as number 006, codename God of Fortune. People who knelt and worshiped him got good luck blessings. But once worship started, it had to be maintained sincerely every day or misfortune struck. However lucky they'd been before was exactly how miserable they'd become after. Then there was number 001, codename Pangu. Similar situation, except he'd fallen into eternal slumber. Would only awaken when the world ended, then create a new one. The blood of Pangu in the Qilin app's merit shop was sourced from him. The state had found a way to draw his blood without injuring him. The more I read, the more I understood how deep the state's foundations really were. Compared to the state, the blood race was nothing. I wondered how much of a boost I'd get from a sip of the blood of Pangu. The squad that resolved that case was led by someone who'd been an ordinary soldier, earned enough merits to exchange for the blood of Pangu, and became a sparrow rank expert. A single drop could birth a sparrow rank. Nobody was above shameless self-contradiction. I'd solemnly sworn I'd never drink blood again, but I was salivating over this blood of Pangu. Some combat police in Silver City had already consumed diluted versions, putting them at lower insect rank. Better than ordinary humans physically, but no special abilities. They were deployed with armed police, sweeping every building in Silver City for hidden parasites. Silver City had nearly 30 million people. Thorough screening was no easy task. Population used to be 10 million, but after the Hibiscus City tragedy, refugees flooded in and it skyrocketed. One of only 2 cities nationwide over 30 million. Because of that influx, my remaining properties had actually appreciated. Though after this incident, they'd probably depreciate. Now that I'd joined the squad with a stable salary, it was a drop in the bucket. Zhang Shou, Chun Ling, and some classmates walked over. Zhang Shou asked in a hushed tone if rumors about universalizing supernatural education were true. I had no idea. The whole nation was hyper-focused on Silver City. Major cities had started mandatory health screenings. But when the universalization news leaked, Netizens shifted focus immediately. Zhang Shou's face was flushed with yearning. He wanted to become a cultivator. His fate would be his to decide, not heaven's. I pulled up the Qilin app contact list to ask the captain. Jin Sheng was rank 89, sat at high-level meetings, had voting rights, and advance access to policy decisions. I messaged him. He confirmed it was under deliberation, had been discussed since the Hibiscus City tragedy. This incident accelerated things. Both times, students discovered the parasites, but it wouldn't roll out nationwide immediately. They'd select pilot cities first. Zhang Shou immediately decided he'd attend school in whichever city got picked. Chun Ling calmly analyzed that Silver City and Hibiscus City had a very high chance, both being direct victims. The state would show them more care. A female classmate sighed, hoping they'd pick Silver City. Bad news had been relentless. Casualties at first and second high were worse than ours. Parasites used schools as infiltration epicenters. Many primary schools had 0 survivors. Looking at my anxious classmates, I felt a stirring. Before ALS, I'd been exactly like them, yearning for supernatural abilities. Then I'd accepted being ordinary. After surviving death, they craved power just like I had when sick. The craving was really anxiety about the future and dread of death. Everyone was the same. Even with powers, I was still human at core. As long as I considered myself human, I'd always be human. Being a vampire was just bloodline. Night fell. I sat outside my tent basking in moonlight. Past midnight, clouds covered the moon and mist rose from the ground. Couldn't bask anymore, so I flipped upside down and started handstand push-ups. After joining Qilin, I was theoretically safe from the blood race. Endless vampire lifespan. As long as I basked in the sun, I could live relaxed as a salted fish. But while my codename meant salted fish, I wasn't someone who just sought comfort. Over 2 days, I'd reflected on what to live for. Dad died of illness, so I feared death. But that fear meant I cherished life more than anyone. School scenes flashed through my mind. Students who studied diligently, loved to fool around, were shy or cheerful, all became mutilated corpses. Terror on their faces, tears in the bloodstains. After reading case files, I saw heroes protecting ordinary lives, young lives falling in blood. Jin Sheng trusted me because predecessors paid with their lives as cautionary lessons. An answer crystallized. I wanted to be a beacon of light. Dispel fear, protect smiles. Needed overwhelming strength. Had to become stronger and stronger still. 1-finger handstand push-ups, 1,005, 7, 10, 20. Jin Sheng came back, carrying oversized rats bigger than countryside dogs. Waited for me to switch hands, then suggested we spar at the sports field. Internal training? He smiled. Game. I flipped to my feet. He restricted himself to insect rank. I sent silver threads rocketing at him. He stood his ground, fingers glowing gold, tapped every thread away with precise timing. Said my finger movements were too obvious. I said it gave better control. Fingertips most agile, then palm, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm. With limited silver blood, I had to focus where I had the most control. That's why losing my right arm to Zhou Tai had plummeted my combat strength. Jin Sheng dodged casually while talking. Said he'd seen Marcus use the same ability. Silver threads, ever-changing, impossible to predict. Could wrap himself in them to form silver armor. Way ahead of me. My eyes lit up. Defense wasn't a vampire's strong suit. Silver armor would be excellent protection. Maybe I should learn to knit. Same principle in theory. I tested angles to breach his defense. He blocked everything like he had eyes in the back of his head. Recalled threads, wove crude silver gauntlets, lunge for close quarters. He smiled. Good thinking. Took it seriously. Golden light in his palms. We traded blows across the field. Every exchange ended with him tapping one finger between my brows. Asked if I'd studied martial arts. Said some online stuff, not very useful. He laughed. Internet techniques were for ordinary humans. We had supernatural powers, so weak point moves didn't work on us. That's why they seemed useless. I had a long lifespan, should absorb everything. Technique was just grinding over time. Through sparring, He noticed I was fundamentally different from ordinary vampires. Most were incredibly weak their first century, could bully humans, but compared to other supernaturals, they were weaklings. Price of immortality. But me? Every punch had absurd force. Fighting me felt like a head-on collision with a rhino. My raw strength and speed already at lower ant rank. Didn't look like a new vampire at all. Felt more like an old monster who'd lived 200 or 300 years. He parried my jab and smiled. Said he had a solid grasp on my strength. Watch myself. Every hair stood up. I threw myself backward, but he anticipated every move, kept up. Fists blurred into a rapid barrage. Saw them coming, but couldn't block. Punch after punch. Then a brutal uppercut launched me into the air. Tiger-style fist ultimate technique. Lion's majesty aura. Golden particles erupted, forming a massive golden lion. One paw slammed me into the ground. Deafening crash. Bones shattered. Couldn't move. Clouds parted. Moonlight spilled down. Jin Sheng sat beside me. Poked me. Still alive? I groaned. I'll survive. Throbbing with pain, but no serious injuries. Jin Sheng understood vampire physiology, avoided my vitals. Minutes later, I sat up, mostly healed. Jin Sheng stared. Thought you'd be bedridden for hours. Back in 10 minutes. To him, I seemed more monstrous than most supernaturals. I smiled at the moon. If daytime, probably wouldn't take a minute. He complained, "Are you a vampire or Superman?" I told Jin Sheng my secret, because trust had to be mutual in a small squad. He'd already pieced it together. I absorbed light to replenish strength, which was why I didn't need blood. I asked about that giant lion. He looked up. Not a supernatural being, a pure martial artist. Trained Golden Light Foundation art since childhood. Switched to tiger subduing divine art at 18. 5 years ago, consumed a drop of the blood of Pangu, which mutated his art into the golden radiant lion divine art. That day he got his code name, Lion Radiance. I said no wonder his close quarters was terrifying. He reacted like a cat whose tail got stepped on. Plenty of martial artists were terrible at close quarters. Only real combat improved it. No shortcuts. Childhood spent getting beaten by his father. A lifetime of blood and sweat couldn't be brushed off casually. I laughed. He clicked his tongue in defeat. Days later, lockdown eased. Parasites cleared from Silver City. By the 5th day, I was home. Collapsed into my balcony lounge chair, basking. Regenerating my arm took massive energy. Only yesterday, I'd hit my 9th heartbeat. Today, I'd awakened my 2nd minor ability. I browsed the Qilin app's mission section. Merit Shop had blood of Pangu, silver, spatial equipment, supernatural weapons. All redeemable with merit points. Jin Sheng said I'd get substantial points once the incident wrapped up, but I figured never too many. Maybe before school, I could buy equipment. Missions range from capturing frostlight ferrets for 10 points each to clearing zombies in Bloomwater City for 50 each. Government missions offered more, but had stricter requirements. Could stack official and private missions for double payout. Just as I weighed options, my heart thumped. Heat erupted from my chest, spreading through my body. Having done this once, I stayed calm. Closed my eyes, waited. 10 minutes later, I opened my eyes with a strange expression. Extended my hand. Blood-red energy materialized in my palm, like water and flickering flame at once. Blood energy. The most iconic vampire ability. A major ability. Ordinary vampires had an extremely low chance of awakening it even after 300 years. The Qilin app warned that any operative below Sparrow rank encountering a vampire with blood energy should retreat immediately. Once awakened, a vampire could learn blood arts, lifting them out of the bottom tier. Even among magic wielders, a vampire with blood energy was particularly troublesome. Ordinary vampires were squishy assassins. A vampire with blood energy was a noble mage. Worlds apart, but staring at the energy in my palm, my first thought was, where the hell do I learn blood arts? Only the blood fairies and the blood race had them. The blood race's arts came from their progenitor over centuries. They wouldn't teach me. The blood fairies' progenitor died centuries ago. Their people lived in isolated Western continent communities. even more xenophobic than the blood race. So, was I really going to have to invent blood arts from scratch? I stared at the blood energy, my gaze becoming deep and insightful. Or at least I thought so. My best friend Zhang Shou was having a normal morning, bolting to the bathroom, standing at the toilet, letting out a sigh of relief. Then he heard a splash. He wasn't dropping a deuce, so where'd it come from? He looked down into the toilet bowl. Resting inside was a fruit radiating a faint crimson glow. A forbidden fruit. In his toilet, his eyes went wide. Slapped himself. Hurt, not dreaming. Without caring how disgusting it was, he fished the fruit right out of the toilet. Nobody would know he retrieved it from a toilet bowl. Eating it was definitely the right move. Rinsed it at the sink, swallowed it whole. Faint lingering taste of urine. Removed any last doubts about dreaming. He wasn't asking for much. Just a system. 2 days ago, I told him forbidden fruits weren't omnipotent. The grander the wish, the heavier the price. He had no desire to end up in a vegetative state. His demands weren't high. A ding echoed in his mind. Ultimate healer system activated. Initially thrilled, then dumbfounded. He wanted a sword immortal system. How did it turn into a healer? After waiting with no further changes, he resigned himself to fate. Called up his attributes. Ultimate healer. Abilities: heal, condenses a sphere of light that heals the target. Healing touch, summons tentacles with healing and disease-purging properties. Passive, a healer never dies of injury. First fatal hit each day causes death, followed by full recovery. Second leaves him at 1% HP. Third causes death, revival after 1 hour. Zhang Shou grew ecstatic. 3 lives a day, then punched the wall. Face went red, purple, white. Holy hell, it hurt. Don't they say consuming a forbidden fruit puts you at eagle rank? How could someone at eagle rank be this weak? He called me. I was at home, standing inverted on the ceiling, exploring blood energy uses. Since I couldn't learn orthodox blood arts, I'd figured out myself. Like owning a generator. With electricity secured, couldn't I handcraft a fan, a rice cooker, or even an electromagnetic railgun? I developed several uses. Coating my skin let me scale walls like Spider-Man. Coating silver threads reinforced toughness or made them sticky like spider silk. I could make blood energy corrosive too. A single droplet burned through floorboards. I wondered if blood arts were just changing the inherent nature of blood energy to produce effects. I would try to force the energy to ignite when my phone rang. Zhang Shou's voice erupted. Yu Xian, I ate a forbidden fruit. He only used my real name when dead serious. I frowned, asked if he was sure. He said he slapped himself, felt pain, definitely not dreaming. Things had gone sideways. I told him to stay put. Suspected he'd eaten toxic mushrooms and was hallucinating. Like your best friend calling to say they won the lottery. Felt too surreal. Still, I hurried over. He opened the door, glanced around furtively, pulled me in, bolted the deadbolt. I sat on the sofa, asked what ability he'd awakened. He tweaked the story, said he found a fruit in his bedroom instead of the bathroom, but told me everything else. I told him to try Healing Touch. A translucent green tentacle materialized. Looked like an octopus tentacle without suckers, swaying lazily. My eyes went wide. Had to accept he'd struck fool's gold. I brushed the tentacle, recoiled violently. Fingers singed and blistered. It had an inherent counteractive property against vampires. Zhang Shou glowed with smug satisfaction. Believe me now? I nodded. Asked if he knew why he wasn't eagle rank. My face turned dead serious. Because you're too damn greedy. Do you have any idea how close you came to becoming a system rather than just a guy with a system? Earlier, I hadn't taken it seriously. But now that every word was true, I felt deep dread. He thought his wish wasn't much, but it was boundless. The system carried virtually zero side effects, yet the skills were preposterous. That passive ability defied the laws of nature. He depleted every ounce of luck allotted to him for life. For his safety, I contacted Jin Sheng. Discovering someone who consumed a forbidden fruit required immediate reporting, and it would allow a comprehensive examination for Zhang Shou. Qilin's Silver City branch was next to the Public Security Bureau. Jin Sheng and I sat inside, watching through a window as Zhang Shou underwent a battery of exams by several doctors. Jin Sheng's expression was complex. He muttered, "Does a freak friend have to be a freak too?" Centuries ago, someone ate a forbidden fruit and wished for a system, intending to ascend to the highest level of existence. The wish was granted, but the side effect was that the person himself became the system, able to exist only through parasitic fusion with a host. When the host died, he perished too. Neither ascended to godhood. Zhang Shou's wish was nearly identical. His end should have been the same. Yet not only had he failed to turn into a system, he was alive and kicking. Baffling. Results wouldn't be ready until tomorrow. Zhang Shou came out, spotted me in the corridor, nervously asked about side effects. I shook my head. Won't know until tomorrow. He grinned optimistically. Maybe he was blessed by heaven, got an absolute cheat of a system. Jin Sheng stepped out and looked straight at him. That's impossible. Drop the wishful thinking. Although you're only insect rank, your potential is far too terrifying. A system of this level from a forbidden fruit can't come without side effects. He'd seen the doctor's expressions through the glass. Felt results wouldn't be good. He silently took back his earlier thought. I was the only freak here. Zhang Shou was just an unlucky fellow who'd gotten lucky. Zhang Shou's smile froze. He thought he'd been restrained with his wish, but Jin Sheng held the matter in terrifyingly high regard. I asked if I could transfer merit points so the government could save him. Jin Sheng said he'd stay tonight. Everything waited for tomorrow's reports. Forbidden fruits were supreme opportunity or harbinger of calamity. The progenitors of zombies, drought demons, ghouls all ate the fruit, lost self-awareness, became catastrophe sources. After Qilin killed the zombie progenitor, its corpse released miasma that spread globally. Any infected corpse became a zombie. That's why anyone who consumed a fruit got a full exam and couldn't leave before results. I stayed with Zhang Shou. Jin Sheng said it was better, would prevent irrational choices. Past cases of people left alone at night, spiraling into overthinking, sneaking away, dying from ability backlash. That night, I stood inverted on the ceiling. Zhang Shou couldn't sleep. I told him worst case, I'd turn him into a vampire. We'd keep him alive. He sighed. Should have asked me first. I said impossible. Forbidden fruits had overwhelming temptation. If two people found one, even sworn brothers would kill each other. Called cursed fruits for a reason. Consuming it while sane was the correct choice. Next day, we sat in the corridor. Zhang Shou looked like a convict awaiting sentencing, face a mask of anxious apprehension. Jin Sheng emerged with a file, grim expression. Sat next to me, handed it over. I offered it to Zhang Shou. He waved his hands. You read it first. Let me catch my breath. From Jin Sheng's expression alone, I'd already deduced the outcome was terrible. My brow furrowed deeper as I scanned the report, face clouding with worry. Zhang Shou's throat tightened. What's wrong? Is it that bad? I pursed my lips. Worse than we thought. Your body is saturated with a highly volatile, unique energy. Telomere degradation hundreds of times faster than normal. Every time you use your abilities, you're burning your lifespan. You only have about a week left to live. He remembered what I'd said last night. What if I become a vampire? I shook my head. The energy inside you is highly repulsive. Vampire blood would burn away on contact. Can't turn you. Same for other lifespan extending abilities. Won't work. His face went pale. So I'm going to die in a week? No free lunch. Even 3 extra lives wouldn't save you if the King of Hell demanded your death at midnight. Forbidden fruits were never genie lamps or wish-granting beads. Consuming them always came at a price. Silence in the corridor. Jin Sheng felt a pang of regret. Healing specialists like Zhang Shou were extremely rare. If not for this issue, he'd have recruited him without hesitation. I clutched the report, refusing to give up hope. Asked if the blood of Pangu could save Zhang Shou. Jin Sheng shook his head. The blood of Pangu was still a product of a forbidden fruit. The price Zhang Shou paid was likely on par with Pangu. The repelling energy was probably no lower in rank. Zhang Shou took a deep breath, forced a faint smile. Salted fish, thanks. It's fine. For the remaining days, just let me be alone, all right? He rose to leave. Unable to watch him go alone, I stood to follow. Jin Sheng pressed a firm hand on my shoulder, shook his head. Give him some space. I clenched my fists watching my friend's figure fade into the distance. I wanted to become stronger. Strong enough that no matter what tragedy struck, I'd never be forced to stand by as powerless as I was today. Zhang Shou drifted aimlessly to a nearby park. Collapsed on a bench, mind blank, staring at the sky. World plunged into gray. Park was desolate. Aftermath of the parasite tragedy still evident. Thought back to yesterday's ecstasy. Self-deprecating laugh. Thought I hit the jackpot. Doesn't even count as a consolation prize. Sat there half an hour, wandered the streets. Returned home, locked himself in his bedroom, slept soundly. At nightfall, his starving stomach woke him. Went to a steamed dish restaurant. Just as he finished eating, a sharp cry from the back. A server had scalded a little girl's arm with boiling tea. Parents panicking. Server frantically apologizing. Zhang Shou stared at the girl. After a brief silence, stepped forward. Let me. Pushed past the server, pointed his finger at the scalded arm. Heal. Green orb of light shot from his fingertip. The red burn faded rapidly. Skin returned to normal. Father gasped, thanked him profusely. Mother and server voiced thanks. Onlookers wore expressions of admiration. Zhang Shou's mood wasn't quite as terrible anymore. He walked back, took 2 bites, set his chopsticks down. Finally understood why his system was healer type. The casualties at school hadn't just scarred me. They'd reshaped him too. He and Chun Ling and others had searched for surviving classmates among the remains, bandaging wounds, easing pain, helping them hold on until rescue arrived. In those moments, he hadn't wanted to be a sword immortal. He wanted to be a doctor. Save them all. He stared at the streets and whispered, "Do you want to die a coward? Or be a hero just once?" Stood up, walked out with a genuine smile. Footsteps growing more resolute. A waitress sprinted after him. "Sir, you haven't paid." His stride froze. Spun around, settled the bill, fled in embarrassment. Next morning, Zhang Shou called. I hurried to a vegetable market near our school. A banner read, "Supernatural Healer. Free treatment. Terminal illnesses, chronic diseases. Instant recovery." Zhang Shou sat beneath it, continuously using heal on a surging crowd, periodically using healing touch for specialized conditions. I bolted forward, forcibly interrupted him. "Are you out of your mind? The more you use your abilities, the faster you'll die." He looked up with complete seriousness. "Salted fish, I called you to help maintain the crowd. I'm a dead man either way. At least this way, my death has some value." I opened my mouth to argue. He cut me off. "Yuxian, if you consider me a friend, don't stop me. Life and death are dictated by fate. Just don't let me die for nothing." I gritted my teeth, eyes bloodshot. "Fine." He resumed treating patients. I managed the queue, scolding anyone who tried to cut. As the sun climbed, his youthful appearance began to change. By midday, he looked middle-aged, temples turning stark white. Every treatment brought a bright smile to his aging face. An immense crowd gathered. People brought parasols, lunch boxes, herbal teas. Some helped maintain order. Jin Sheng stood silently atop a building roof, fists clenching. By 4 in the evening, Zhang Shou had withered into a frail old man. People noticed. "Doctor, your hair." "Young man, take a break." He remained unyielding. Hundreds of terminally ill cured. Dozens of disabled classmates restored. Genetic disorders in infants eradicated. One trigger, and he handed someone back their health. Since he was dying anyway, this trade was an absolute steal. Vision blurred. Couldn't discern patients' faces. Didn't need to diagnose. Just trigger abilities whenever he sensed someone approaching. Nightfall. He raised a trembling hand, but buckled and collapsed. The crowd caught him. I cradled the skeleton-thin Zhang Shou. Hot tears spilling. "It's enough." Really, he'd refused to stop dozens of times. The square erupted into weeping. A peaceful smile on his weathered face. "Yuxian, it's strange. I didn't want to die. Should be terrified. But right now, I don't feel scared at all. Is it because I know I did the right thing?" Before I could answer, his hand went limp, slipping to his side. I let out a raw, agonizing wail. My father was gone. Now my best friend too. The crowd fell into profound silence, or wept openly. Time seemed frozen. At the center of an ocean of grief, Zhang Shou drew his final breath. Then his passive ability kicked in. A healer never dies of injury. His withered body reverted to its original form in seconds. Heart restarted with a powerful beat. I was cradling him, detected the changes first. My weeping ground to a halt. The crowd shifted their tearful gazes and froze. Zhang Shou had regained consciousness the millisecond his heart restarted. But seeing how heartbroken everyone was, he felt too embarrassed to ruin the moment. He cracked one eye open, entire crowd staring blankly. Offered an awkward smile. The atmosphere was building up so perfectly, it feels disrespectful of me to just not die. How about, I die one more time? I roared. Shut up and come for another checkup. Don't pull a stunt like this again. Drag him toward the exit. The crowd parted. Long after we disappeared, people still hadn't recovered. Sheer farcical absurdity replaced the tragedy. I dragged him to the Chilean branch office next to the Public Security Bureau for another exhaustive examination. As a vampire, I was extremely sensitive to a living being's vitality and blood circulation. Could tell if someone was ill by the scent of their blood, even detect whether a woman was a virgin. Legend said vampires preferred virgin blood because of this heightened sensitivity. Fortunately, I had zero interest in drinking blood, but I was certain that the moment Zhang Shou returned to life, his blood scent had fundamentally shifted. Next day, Jin Sheng studied the fresh report. Side effects were massive, but not as absolute as feared. They officially designated his condition as the 7-day life and death cycle tribulation. Without using skills, he'd undergo a full cycle of aging, death, and rebirth every 7 days. Using skills accelerated it. His passive had recorded his biological data the millisecond his system activated. Every fatal event reverted him to that initial marker. As long as he stayed alive, Zhang Shou would remain trapped between ages 17 and 77. Mondays, vibrant teenager. Sundays, frail old man. That explained the blood scent anomaly. Zhang Shou read the report, caught between laughing and crying. So I'm doomed to bounce between life and death. Jin Sheng said, not necessarily. Die 4 consecutive times in one day. Even gods couldn't fish him back. I warned him sternly. Don't run amok with extra lives. Keep a strict tally. Stop pushing to the brink without a safety net. He chuckled awkwardly. Yesterday he thought he was dead, figured he'd go out in glory. Now he knew he could live, obviously wouldn't throw it away. Then he thought back to the melodramatic spectacle in the market and felt crippling second-hand embarrassment. Jin Sheng slid a form across. Interested in joining us? Zhang Shou's eyes lit up. Am I qualified? Jin Sheng smiled. You're already calling me captain, so of course. Internally, a tiny version was doing a victory dance. His squad finally had a healer. He explained Qilin and the squad structure. Zhang Shou nodded frantically. I'm in. Same squad as Salted Fish. You two were a package deal. Designated healer of the Wickedness Purging Squad. Ranked 6,340th, codename Death Medic. Zhang Shou grinned. Death Medic. Sound badass. I offered a beaming smile. Congratulations, 4th Ant. He fired back. What do you mean, 4th Ant? The tones aren't the same. I nodded. Got it, 4th Ant. He pleaded for a codename change. Jin Sheng shrugged. Old Zhang is already registered. 4th Ant is strategically fitting. Perfect for confusing the enemy. Zhang Shou wailed. True happiness was built on the suffering of others. Jin Sheng and I exchanged satisfied smirks. 3 days later, I lounged on my balcony, scrolling the class group chat. Nobody had removed the deceased students' accounts. Chunling sent a voice message about news. Zhang Shou replied, Our glorious queen, just tell us directly. I chuckled. School is starting back up? Chunling confirmed. But no way you can guess where. I narrow my eyes. The Supernatural Academy? The parasites had infiltrated every school except it. They deliberately avoided it. Chunling was shocked. How did you know? Highly classified info she'd spent days uncovering. I laughed. Not only do I know we're transferring there, but every surviving student from across the city is being consolidated there. As a squad member, I could preview intelligence through Jin Sheng or the Qilin app. Given how few survived, there'd only be enough for 2 classes per grade. Most survivors had severe trauma, terrified of their original schools. Parents sick with worry. Transferring everyone to the one school untouched by parasites was the government's best move. Monday morning, students carrying backpacks stood outside the Supernatural Academy gates. Most had dreamed of attending since childhood. Now that the moment arrived, they felt anxious and uneasy. They were ordinary people. Academy students were all supernatural beings. The gap was vast. Without training, an ordinary person couldn't break a single brick. A supernatural being could effortlessly smash a wall to pieces. Some could even topple an entire building. If they bumped into you, fractured bones at best, sent straight to heaven at worst. Zhang Shou spotted me. Salted fish, over here. I strolled up. He'd spent the night at the branch office. Dr. Chun said he couldn't grow stronger through training, but had a digitized attribute panel. Stats could be improved, enhancing his abilities. I asked why nobody was going in. Chunling popped up behind us. This is the Supernatural Academy. Aren't you nervous? I shook my head. Still just a school. Let's go. A car with a bat emblem pulled up. Nora stepped out. Students froze. The blonde beauty's charm was overwhelming. I greeted her. Morning, dazed goose. Everyone snapped back to reality. Nora's face darkened. She stomped on my foot. You're the one who's a dazed goose. This scene of a handsome boy and beautiful girl shattered many male students' hearts. Chunling asked if Nora was going back to her original class. Nora flipped her hair, stepped back from me. I transferred to your school, so of course I'll be in the same class. I smiled. Let's go. We walked in. Trees grew wildly, flowers bloomed. Academy students rose into the air, released multicolored flames bursting into fireworks. Welcome messages appeared in text. A tall girl with long silver hair walked out. Yu Marin, student council president, welcomed everyone, said come to the student council for help. I politely expressed gratitude. But looking into her eyes, ordinary students like us didn't seem to register at all. Was this just a show? I maintained a polite smile. She led us to the academic building. Teachers waited at the entrance. Before classroom doors, Yu Marin reminded them once more about reaching out for help, then led the academy students away, leaving us to begin class assignments. The ordinary student division had 2 classes for 3rd year. Students from the same school were assigned together. Class 1 was almost entirely 3rd high students since I'd rescued quite a few classmates. Due to the parasite incident, everyone had crossed paths before, took their seats, quickly grew familiar again. Many brought gifts to thank us for saving their lives. A dozen whom Zhang Shou had healed showed immense respect. The 4 of us sat together. Chunling smiled. Didn't expect Academy students to be so warm. Thought they'd look down on us. Nora replied matter-of-factly. They aren't fools. Discriminating against new ordinary students would be internet headlines by afternoon, nationwide cyber witch hunt by evening. The enrollment was, because of the parasite incident, a massive national event. The student council organized the welcome to earn public goodwill. Even if some harbored different thoughts, Yu Marin would suppress them. Nora turned around from in front of me, wearing gloves, placed a massive silver ingot on my desk. She promised 10 kilograms of silver. Finally fulfilled her promise. Zhang Shou's eyes widened. What a massive chunk. Silver's price was nearly on par with gold. Vampires, government organizations, shamans, Taoist priests all needed it. Shamans could refine silver into mithril. I picked it up, took a bite to confirm purity. Thanks. Zhang Shou looked at Nora fawning. Rich lady, hungry food. Nora placed a bullet on his desk. I'm a vampire. Don't eat normal food. Got plenty of bullets. Care for bite. Chunling laughed. Zhang Shou admitted defeat, but quietly pocketed the expensive explosive round. As we fooled around, our phones chimed simultaneously. Pulled them out at the same time. Chunling noticed they were identical, looked official issue. After reading Jin Sheng's text, we exchanged a glance and nodded. Afternoon recess. Zhang Shou and I went to the Qilin branch office. Jin Sheng was eating fast food at his desk. Wolfed down bites, wiped his mouth. Take a seat. I'm returning to the capital tonight. I have a mission for you. Silver City was never peaceful after nightfall. Supernatural animals lurked. Devilish heretics stirred trouble. Thanks to Jin Sheng's crackdown, most high-ranking ones were dealt with. Only small fries at ant or insect ranks remained. Not strong, but overwhelming numbers and dangerous to ordinary humans. Our mission was to patrol at night and eliminate them. Combat police were short-staffed after the parasite campaign. Zhang Shou was excited. Little prince of staying up late. Finally a legitimate reason. I smiled. As a vampire, I'd only slept once. Didn't mind. Jin Sheng said the mission awarded merit points. Unranked animals earned 1 point. Insect rank 5. Ant rank 10. Take it easy. Zhang Shou patted his chest. Won't let anything go wrong. He added that headquarters would bestow merit points when the incident closed. We could exchange for other things. Tell him what we wanted, and he'd fight for it. Zhang Shou wanted a spatial ring. Even a small pouch cost 50,000 merit points. If he could exchange his reward, he'd make a huge profit. Jin Sheng said he'd ask. Then he looked at me. I said, spatial equipment, silver, and the blood of Pangu. Can I have them all? Jin Sheng scoffed. You must be dreaming. He'd saved 5 years of merit points and borrowed from his dad just for the blood of Pangu. Still paying off the loan. Didn't own spatial equipment. I said don't refuse so quickly. Didn't hurt to ask. Could drop the silver if needed. Jin Sheng sighed. Blood of Pangu shouldn't be an issue. The other two are a long shot. He sent a document of Supernatural Academy students through his phone. Keep an eye on them. Don't let them find out. I asked if something was wrong. He said the students themselves might be fine, but their parents operated in gray areas. Worried they'd take advantage of the chaos. Supernatural beings in the gray zone. Past order was stable, but now everything was in chaos. We headed back. On the way, Zhang Shou asked about patrolling with others or independently. I said I still hadn't sold my dad's car. He had a license. Just the two of us. Returned with half an hour before class. Stood in the corridor observing students. Blue uniforms and black uniforms each occupied one side. Boundary clear as an unbridgeable gulf. Zhang Shou whispered about a student with horns. Dragon race or deer demon? I said most dragon race lived along the coast. Looking at the two groups, I felt like seeing a miniature epitome of society. Supernaturals and humans had always stayed in their own lanes. Most supernaturals in the east, most humans in the south. No intersections. That's why parasites infiltrated undetected. This time they were extremely cautious. Avoided supernatural areas, bypassed homes of humans working for supernaturals. Left the academy untouched. Zhang Shou pointed at Yumarin. She was a supernatural being. Dreamed of the divine beast by Zay as a child. Awakened commanding beasts by name. Many school animals were her tamed beasts. She met our gaze, nodded with a slight smile, walked in. Chun-Ling appeared behind us. President, you oversees the entire school. Those claims might not be unfounded. Zhang Shou startled. Are you human or a ghost? Then I noticed a gloomy female student. Even on a scorching day, she wore a scarf covering most of her face, only dead, lifeless eyes visible. My eyes fell on the book in her hands. It gave off a faint bloody scent. The scent of human blood. My 5 senses were improving daily. Even without silver blood enhancing my smell, I could easily distinguish many different scents, especially anything related to blood, to which I was extremely sensitive. The gloomy girl noticed my gaze and quickened her steps, disappearing. Chun-Ling had seen me staring. She's Wang Qian, a Wiccan specialized in curses. Don't flirt with her. Zhang Shou was shocked. Are you really not supernatural? How do you know everything? She patted his shoulder. Doggy, you've changed. Don't call me your majesty anymore. He smiled. Then, your majesty, are you supernatural? She smiled mysteriously. Take a guess. She was just someone who loved gossip and joined many group chats. I could tell if someone was supernatural by scent. A girl with wine-red hair and a tail under her skirt looked up. Hey, handsome. I nodded slightly. Gu Te Uea, one of Jin Sheng's targets. Nine-tailed fox lineage. Family ran a bathhouse. Father Hu Weijia was a well-known underworld cleaner. Prime suspect for causing trouble. Her scent showed no abnormalities today. If her father had done something, I could detect clues through her scent when they had contact. Until the bell, no other students showed abnormalities. Only Wang Qian seemed suspicious. That night, Zhang Shou drove while I knitted a sweater in the passenger seat. He checked in through the patrol app. 7:30 p.m. Salted fish and death medic, commencing patrol. Route along outer walls, little traffic. Sidewalks empty. After an hour, not a single animal. Zhang Shou yawned. Thought patrol would be exciting. So boring. I smiled. When you fall asleep, I'll shoot you. Haven't died today yet, right? If his state reset, his day-night cycle would flip. Wake up refreshed. My ear twitched. I flicked my fingers while knitting. Silver thread shot out the window. Stop the car. In the grass, a 2-meter poisonous snake with a horn on its head lay in 2 halves. I took a photo, bagged it. 1 merit point. Zhang Shou shone a flashlight, gun ready. I laughed. Only this one. No idea how it got in. Silver City had 15-meter walls and military bases. Animals shouldn't get through, yet they kept appearing, like cockroaches in high-rises. Half an hour later, a black shadow shot from the grass. We chased it. A rabbit. Possibly insect rank. I'm going ahead. I accelerated, left him behind. He stopped gasping. When we get back, I'm eating rabbit meat. Then another shadow flashed past. Another one. The rabbit I chased was fast, but I was faster. Blood energy in my hand. Silver thread wrapped in blood. Energy shot forward, pierced through the rabbit, shredding it from within. I've been studying blood energy uses. Enhanced the kinetic force of my thread, increasing speed and power. I looked at the twitching rabbit. Something was off. Turned it over with the thread. 2 protruding fangs. Dense corpse miasma. A zombie rabbit. I froze, then bound it tighter. If it bit someone, trouble. Carried it back. Zhang Shou was rummaging in the grass for a burrow. Saw the rabbit. Why only one? I saw another run past. I froze. Another one? Pulled a talisman-covered body bag from the car, stuffed the zombie rabbit inside, tied it up, ran back. Didn't like using silver blood to enhance smell. Too much stench. But no choice. If a zombie rabbit bit someone, serious problem. Some wouldn't seek medical help, cling to hope, end up causing a major disaster. Zhou Jingzong was a 45-year-old crematorium worker and occult enthusiast. Dreamed of becoming supernatural since young. Once considered becoming a wild vampire, but the blood race had publicly executed several foreign ones. Risk too high. Between 20 and 35, obsessed with forbidden fruits, spent a fortune. All castles in the air. Spent 10 years repaying debts, but never gave up researching. His perfect plan was to become a zombie. Not mindless. The first zombie to retain self-awareness. He'd found a method in ancient texts. Purchase a soul-sealing talisman to bind his soul to his body. Prepare a zombie-sealing coffin. Get infected with corpse miasma. Lie in the coffin. Get buried in a corpse-nourishing ground. His soul would stay anchored. Once transformed, his soul would mutate into a vengeful spirit. When a zombie developed a faint sense of self, he'd devour the consciousness, forcibly taking over. Perfect fusion between human and zombie form. Emerge as the only perfect zombie with self-awareness. Sounded beautiful. He'd spent a year's salary on a genuine soul-sealing talisman. But as an ordinary person, he couldn't acquire zombie fangs. Stuck at step 1. That day, rode his bicycle home after overtime. Got home, saw a basketball-sized hole in his door. Unlocked, turned on lights. A rabbit hopping in the corner. Grabbed a steel rod, swung. Recoil made his hand numb. Realizing it was supernatural, he furiously swung until he beat it to death. Just as he was checking what it was, I arrived. Stopped him. Careful, that's a zombie rabbit. He was startled, then overjoyed. Yelled, "Who are you? Get out, or I'm calling police." I show my badge. Night Patrol. Supernatural creatures under my jurisdiction. He stared at the badge, stepped aside. I bound the rabbit with silver threads. Reminded him to call police next time. What he did was dangerous. He smiled perfunctorily, walked me to the door. When he turned around, his smile vanished. That was the zombie he'd yearned for. Closest he'd ever come to becoming supernatural. He went back inside, noticed something on the floor where he'd beaten the rabbit, picked up a bone fragment smaller than a grain of rice, probably broken off when striking with a steel rod. Ecstatic joy spread across his face. According to the Supernatural Alliance's research, corpse miasma only grew over time. Theory of corpse miasma expansion. Even a trace could create a zombie. As zombies grew stronger, they generated more miasma. When killed, the miasma dispersed back into the world, would only increase, dragging humanity into the world of the dead. Zhou Jingzong felt the world collapsing when he first read this. Fell into depression, then found an ancient saying online. If you can't beat them, join them. Since the world would belong to the dead, better become one in advance. Meanwhile, walking along the street, a suspicion lingered. The man reeked of rotting corpses. I pulled up his profile on the Public Security Bureau app. Crematorium worker. Bad smell was normal. Shook my head. Overthinking. Returned to the car. Zhang Shou was still searching for a burrow. Found anything? He stood up baffled. Nope. Where are they coming from? I smiled. One of the world's 3 great mysteries. Supernatural animals appearing from nowhere was unresolved. Some believed the world was glitching. Others thought it was a forbidden fruit effect. We drove on. Animals appeared from time to time. Reached the Eastern District. Much livelier. Past 11, people still walking. Zhang Shou whispered, "Look." Who to? She was mingling with young men, flashing smiles. As expected of seductress. My nose twitched. Failed to detect anything. Let's go. Keep patrolling. Eastern District didn't really need patrol. Residents were all supernatural beings, strongest at eagle rank. Could handle things themselves. Still our duty, so we kept driving. Neither of us slept that night. First patrol, no danger. Zhang Shou drove to a parking lot for breakfast. I headed to school first. Chunling was in the classroom, scrolling gossip. Salted fish, you're early. I sat down. Placed my hand inside my desk drawer. Silver threads appeared, wove into a glove. Silver threads from silver blood were far easier to control than yarn. Master the weaving. Create any armor with a thought. I practiced. Gloves materialized, disappeared, reformed, faster each cycle. Reached weaving a glove in 0.1 seconds. Extended up my arm. Chunling turned around. Did you know stopped? Blinked. I'd walked in the blue uniform. Now I was clad in a silver trench coat with matching vest. Shock on her face. You weren't changing clothes behind my back? The instant she blinked again, I retracted all threads. Back in uniform. She muttered, "Did I not sleep well?" I smiled. "What were you about to ask?" She glanced suspiciously, but couldn't resist gossip. Dragon King of the Eastern Sea announced Hill Inner Armor Manufacturing. Equipment for ordinary humans to resist supernatural attacks. Li Donghai, direct descendant of the dragon progenitor, wealthy tycoon. Previously dealt only with supernaturals, now expanding. I said dismissively, probably making noise. Netizens called him Big Mouth Dragon. Shamelessly clout-chased every trend. This was riding Silver City's incident coattails. Chunling was disappointed. Fake news. She wanted protective gear. Parents bought pepper spray, bear spray, taser. Useless against supernaturals. I explained supernatural gear would cost millions. Material costs alone made that obvious. She gave up. Went back to her phone to vent under his social media. I checked the Cheelin app. A flying zombie surfaced in the Twin Western Mountains. Search and capture underway. Below Eagle rank, stay away. Internal ranking assessment next month. And the third headline. Cheelin research discovered detection method for a variant of the aberrant parasite, the brain-clinging neural parasite. Nationwide medical exam in 3 days. 2 days prior, I'd seen related reports. This variant could transform into something like human cranial nerves, infiltrate a brain, replace neural structures, clung to the brain like microscopic tentacles. Host wasn't technically dead, but the parasite filtered all incoming information. Host could only see and hear what the parasite allowed, reduced to a puppet. Once infected, no different from death. No reliable removal method. The parasite devoured neural structures. Once that brain portion was gone, the person couldn't truly live. Mixed emotions. Relieved authorities had detection. Worried the nationwide exam would shatter unknown numbers of families. Meanwhile, at Gold Nugget Mountain, humans had relocated. Area was wildlife paradise. Inside a cave, wolves, bears, tigers, and a human gathered. Unnatural. The ground shook. A massive white ape over 3 meters tall leaped from the mountaintop, tore open a cave wall. This body is packed with raw power. Spectacular. Jotai sat atop a boulder. Don't break that body. Important asset. A tiger nodded. Wasn't easy getting a supernatural animal. Supernatural animals were far more sensitive than humans. Could detect foreign intrusion instantly. Nearly impossible to infect. After Silver City, Jotai understood infecting humans alone wouldn't let parasites grow into a real force. He'd found this giant ape isolated, sacrificed many parasites to wear it down until exhausted, only then successfully infected it. After gaining human intelligence, parasites grew selfish and fearful of death. Hard to cooperate. Now, with Jotai leading, they could act in unison. Once they infected more supernatural animals, they could encircle cities from the wilderness, bring the world under control. Afternoon class was self-study again. Teachers had covered everything senior year required. Nowadays, aside from endless quizzes and exams, only self-study remained. Many teachers across schools were dead or permanently disabled. Only a handful could still teach, couldn't be everywhere at once. Zhang Shou was asleep at his desk, snoring. Sunlight streamed in. I experimented with blood energy beneath the desk, manipulated the crimson energy into 2 blurry humanoid figures on my palms, wielding spears, battling. The blood race's combat strength rested on 2 foundations. Blood energy was one. Any vampire who awakened, it was a key prospect. I knew how important it was. In middle school, I'd read plenty of web novels about vampires. The one that left the deepest impression was after awakening blood energy, I rose to the pinnacle of life. Protagonist saved a blood race figure, got the first bite. Weak innate ability, other vampires ridiculed him. First major ability turned out to be blood energy. Regarded as once-in-a-century genius. Humiliated those who despised him, climbed ranks, earned promotions, married a wealthy and beautiful heiress, reached the pinnacle. The novel featured fictional blood arts. During second year of middle school, I'd been obsessed, fantasized about being the protagonist. Never imagined I'd become a vampire and awaken blood energy as my third ability. More exaggerated than a power fantasy novel. Reality was more absurd than fiction. Since awakening blood energy, I'd pondered blood arts. Chillin' app had videos. Scythe of blood, chains of blood, blood wing art for flight, cloak of blood to block sunlight, red cloud black sky art used by the progenitor. Many impossible to learn from videos. I focused on the scythe. Could probably manage a quality imitation. Manipulating humanoid figures to fight trained my blood energy shaping. Spears tested stability as weapons. No one to guide me. Wasn't sure if my approach was correct. I'd also developed another application. Creating bubbles. Give blood energy adhesive properties. Inject air, it behaved like chewing gum. Create bubbles beneath my feet. Compress, generate force, enhance speed. Also imagined embedding tiny bubbles in silver blood armor as cushioning against strong opponents. Bell rang. Retracted blood energy, browsed news. Constantly focusing brought fatigue. Like working in assembly line. Best to balance work and rest. Chun-Ling turned around. Free tonight. I nodded. Only patrolled twice a week. Not our turn. She asked about the beast fighting arena. Headliner tonight. Nora invited us. I glanced at Nora, acting nonchalant. Smiled. Since the day's goose is treating, can't miss it. The arena was where supernatural beings pitted captured creatures against each other. like bullfighting, usually ended in death. Never watched in person, but plenty of videos online. Famous beast fighters were celebrities. Endorsed products, huge fan base. If I hadn't joined Shilin, once strong enough, I probably would have become a beast fighter. You're the day's goose. Nora rolled her eyes, but her mouth curled up. Her status in the blood race had risen rapidly. I'd used her blood. Also didn't fear the sun. Monumental discovery. If every vampire from her first bite could walk in the sun, the blood race wouldn't be restricted to darkness. Nora was their new hope. The progenitor had taken notice, considering bestowing his blood on her. We agreed where to meet that night. I kept hands beneath the desk, condensed blood energy into a small blood-colored dagger. Tested hardness against my palm. Only comparable to normal iron. Compressed further. Most vampires were fragile, but I was an exception. Slim, lean. Nobody would guess I could lift 1 to 2 tons. My skin, bones, tendons had become extremely resilient. More pronounced after blood energy. Kitchen knives couldn't cut my skin. Steel rods had difficulty causing damage. Compressed the 15-centimeter dagger to 10. Light slash. Faint mark on my palm. Disappeared almost instantly under sunlight. Around 8:30 p.m., the 4 of us gathered at a milk tea shop, then headed to the beast fighting arena at the eastern outskirts. Zhang Shou and I had passed it during patrol, heard cheers echoing from inside. Nora booked a private box. A waiter let us in. Fruits, pastries, beverages served. Zhang Shou looked around at the lavish decor, whispered, "First time in such a grand place. Getting nervous." I slid my pastries over. "I'm nervous too. Once the fight starts, we'll be good." Nora picked up a pastry. "These are supernatural food. Have some." Beast folk bloodlines liked raw meat. Cooked food tasted foul to them. Private box guests were wealthy. Arena wouldn't serve bland food. Staff recorded preferences, dedicated chef present. Since Nora was a vampire, most food was what vampires could eat. I tried one. Unfamiliar flavor. Eyes lit up. "What are these made of?" Nora answered. "Blood lipids of various animals. Vampires can't digest regular fatty meat, but we can digest blood lipids. That's how these pastries came to be." I was curious about something else. Normal vampires called themselves the blood race. Nora always said vampire. "Days Goose, can I ask something?" She rolled her eyes. "Watch your tone." I asked why she said vampire instead of blood race. She answered matter-of-factly. "Because we're vampires. My mom calls me a little vampire. Don't see anything wrong. Look at you, you silver sucker." Zhang Shou and Chunling burst into laughter. Nora believed I fed on silver. Unaware, I fed on light. If she knew, I'd be light sucker instead. I tried another pastry. Enhanced my taste, discerned multiple layers. Blood lipids, various minerals from animal blood. With money, even vampires could enjoy delicacies unimaginable to ordinary humans. 9 o'clock, performances began. Host roared. First match, 2 ant-rank black wolves against the jackal, Hujunjia. 2 massive wolves released, then a powerfully built man with 2 tails. Deafening cheers. Zhang Shou stared. "Hujunjia? Who Tuer's uncle?" I nodded. Her father had 6 brothers. 7 heroes of the Hu family. Different careers. Hujunjia was a professional beast fighter and streamer. Fight commenced. Hujunjia was experienced. Knew 2 wolves attacking together were dangerous, created distance. As wolves charged, he adjusted position, made them stagger. Kicked the closer wolf. Used recoil to retreat from the other. Zhang Shou's eyes went wide. "You can fight like that?" I nodded seriously. Technique wasn't hard. Real challenge was controlling battle flow and seizing timing. Required experience and judgment. The wolves exposed an opening because he'd controlled the flow, so, while they'd fallen into his trap, he pulled the battle into his tempo. Wolves disoriented. Used his tail to confuse them, shifting left and right, toying with them. After thoroughly toying, he put both in a brutal guillotine choke, snapped their necks. Thunderous cheers. Chunling glanced at his tails. "Are 9-tailed fox people stronger the more tails?" Nora's gaze stayed on the arena. "Yes. Judge strength by tail count. 1 tail insect rank, 2 ant, 3B for sparrow, 5 serpent, 6 eagle, 7 wolf, 8 tiger, 9 dragon. Zhang Shou asked, God rank? 10 tails. I chuckled. You'll find out when a 9-tailed fox progenitor breaks through. The progenitor only had 8 tails. Long way to dragon rank, let alone god rank. Matches continued one after another, each about half an hour. Zhang Shou and I thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. Every warrior who stepped into the arena was formidable. Their combat experience was on an entirely different level. Footwork, positioning, battle flow control, judgment, all incredible. Watching live was completely different from videos online. The host appeared again. Tonight's grand finale. A white ape with human-level intelligence. A cage rose into view. 3-meter tall, massive white ape. Head lowered, eyes hidden. Overwhelming pressure from its back alone. Our challenger, the undefeated Iron God, by Jin Long. A burly man, near 1.9 meters, stepped forward, waved to spectators. Arena erupted. I read his profile on the tablet. 32 years old, B rank. Could transform his body into black alloy. Rich combat experience, immense strength. Could fight above his rank. This guy is strong. Even using all my tricks, probably couldn't break his defense. He couldn't kill me either. Match began. Inside the ape was Zhou Tai, one of his personalities. Day before, dreaming of conquering the world. Now captured by a hunting team. His other bodies sacrificed to cover his escape. 9 personalities now in weak animals and his original body. His strongest body was a prisoner, forced to perform like a clown. Bai Jinlong gestured. Come on, big guy. Zhou Tai felt fury. The third personality was most domineering. Dreamed of conquering the world. Only then could he do whatever he pleased. With a roar, Zhou Tai threw a punch. Bai Jinlong anticipated it. Sidestepped without using abilities. Zhou Tai's punch shook the arena. Spectators erupted. To Zhou Tai, it sounded like mockery. Bai Jinlong smiled. Again, Zhou Tai controlled a brain-clinging neural parasite. The ape was alive, but Zhou Tai controlled every action. He glared, growled in a distorted voice. Human, you have truly enraged me. Bai Jinlong froze. Zhou Tai's arm swept across, sent him flying. Slammed into the cage, coughing blood. Zhou Tai rushed forward with killing punches. Then noticed something wrong. Bai Jinlong's body had turned pitch black. The punches hadn't even scratched him. Caught off guard by the ape speaking, but now prepared. No threat. He got up, turned to spectators. It can talk? Took me by surprise. Some supernatural creatures could speak. Parrots, yellow weasels. In our box, we were shocked when the ape spoke. I felt something was off. The voice felt familiar. Like hearing an older brother's voice after only knowing the younger one. Familiar, yet not quite the same. Couldn't match anything in memory. Nora frowned. That voice, doesn't it sound familiar? I froze. You feel it too? She nodded. Can't figure out where. I threw a wild guess. Zhou Tai. Only one person we'd cross paths with was truly suspicious. Nora was uncertain. Voice doesn't match, but the feeling seemed similar. I kept watching. Suspicion took root. The more I looked, the more the ape resembled Zhou Tai. Combat style focused on sneak attacks. If Bai Jinlong hadn't transformed, he couldn't have handled it. My expression turned serious. Definitely Zhou Tai. Could this ape be under a brain-clinging neural parasite? Silver light flickered in my pupils. No tentacles beneath the skin. No recorded cases of aberrant parasites infecting supernatural creatures. If this was Zhou Tai, situation was far more serious. I'd examine the corpse after the match. If confirmed, report to Qilin headquarters immediately. Bai Jinlong wasn't in a hurry to end the fight. Kept provoking the white ape, taking attacks head-on to demonstrate his defense. To him, it was a performance. Wanted to be the center of attention. Spectators chanted his name. He enjoyed it, especially when it brought wealth. He stared down the ape with a contemptuous smirk. Feeble punches. The ape's attacks got faster, but it was flesh and blood. Strikes did nothing against his black alloy body. Its fists split and bruised. Zhou Tai roared, "Just die already." The ape's eyes turned blood red. Massive adrenaline surge. Felt no pain. The ape's strength was useless against black alloy. Could shatter rock, punch through steel, but couldn't damage him. Kill, kill, kill. Zhoutai refused to stop punching. Driven by fury, the ape's blood heated up. Latent power awakened. Zhoutai's temperament was more compatible with the bloodline than the ape's original personality. Bai Jinlong sensed the power increase. It was holding back. Crimson spread across the ape's arms. Bai Jinlong roared to the stands. Bloodline awakening. Once-in-a-century spectacle. Cheer! Cheers erupted. He decided to grant the audience's wish. What could a white ape do even with an awakened bloodline? Zhoutai sensed the transformation through the brain-clinging neural parasite. Even a bloodline awakening wouldn't make it match Bai Jinlong. But Zhoutai wasn't mindless. Needed to guide the bloodline deeper. The catalyst was fighting spirit and murderous intent. He flooded the ape's brain with fury. The brain structure changed. A blood-red substance secreted. The parasite fused with the ape's brain. Blood temperature surged to 1,000 degrees. Bones, meridians, organs mutated. Fiery red spread through white fur like flames. Bai Jinlong was confident, but blow after blow rained down. He could no longer hold ground. The ape's strength was terrifyingly immense. Punches faster, heavier, more relentless. Combat prowess changing too fast to react. Every counter, another fist. Every reposition, another punch. His heart sank. Tried to retreat. The ape closed in, looked into its eyes, burning with literal flames. He cried out, "Zhu Yan's bloodline!" Zhoutai sent him flying. Bai Jinlong crashed against the cage, body battered out of shape. Shock washed over the audience. Cheering halted. The ape was unrecognizable. Is it growing bigger? Its eyes are on fire. Someone screamed, "Run!" That's Zhu Yan. Several fled. A heartbeat like war drums. Thump, 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 thump. Spectators realized the pounding came from the ape. Their own hearts pounded in panic. Then everyone's hearts exploded. Numerous spectators coughed blood and collapsed. Powerful supernatural beings evacuated. Everything happened too quickly for individuals charged from the tunnels. One phased through the cage, struck at the ape's heart. Could phase through matter, seize hearts. Miscalculated. The moment his palm phased in, blistering heat burned his hand. Lost control. Screaming, tried to retreat. The ape grabbed him. Touch felt like branding irons. The ape swallowed him in one gulp. The gone ape received a surge of energy, physique filling out. Turned its gaze to the remaining three. "Come on in." They retreated. Our private box blocked Zhu Yan's abilities. Earlier attack hadn't affected us. I stood up. Things had gone sideways. Zhang Shou, check if anyone's alive in the stands. I'll stall. Everything happened too fast. 10 seconds from counterattack to slaughter. Stands filled with casualties. Nora stood. "I'm going too." I said no. "Stay with Chunling. If things get dangerous, leave." The ape wasn't something you dealt with using firearms. Even I would have fled without recent training, willing to step in only because I could retreat unscathed. I wasn't going in thinking I could defeat the ape. Goal was to buy time. Nora glanced at Chunling, nodded. "Just be careful." She wanted to help, but couldn't leave Chunling alone. Something happened. She'd never forgive herself. Stepping out of the box, my body turned vivid red. A large cluster of tiny bubbles cover my frame, a sight guaranteed to make anyone with trypophobia scream. Silver threads from silver blood rapidly wove together, enveloping all the bubbles to construct a sleek suit of silver armor. Incredibly fine threads, tightly interwoven, no trace of being knitted together. Sharp, distinct contours, surface as smooth as a mirror. Feeling of absolute invulnerability. Zhang Shou's eyes lit up. "Salted fish, you look absolutely badass." A suit of armor like that was every guy's ultimate dream. He felt if he could wear something like that, his courage would skyrocket by 1,000%, enough to stand tall before even a progenitor-level existence. I clenched fists to check the armor wouldn't interfere with movement. "Let's split up. You rescue people. I'll hold the giant ape off. Not the time to play around." Zhang Shou nodded, turned to leave. I headed the opposite direction. Down in the cage, Zhou held the heavily injured by Jinlong, weighed the man in his hand, let out a deep, malicious laugh. Thank you very much. You've helped me discover the true path to becoming stronger. As a reward, I'll let you experience the true meaning of speed and power. He flung Bai Jinlong with all his strength. Bai Jinlong instantly smashed through the alloy cage, hurtling toward the spectator stands. Just as he was about to crash violently, a silver streak flashed past and pulled him to safety. Zhou glared at the silver-armored figure. Couldn't gauge my strength. Silent standoff. I'd underestimated the ape's strength. Catching Bai Jinlong, my silver threads nearly snapped. Blood energy bubbles burst. Arms fractured, hairline healed instantly. Fortunately, I designed the armor for maximum aesthetic appeal. Drew inspiration from movies. Standing still, nobody could guess my actual strength. My appearance had bluffed Zhou. No great power without price. Zhou triggered deeper Zhu Yin bloodline awakening at steep cost. The ape was severely depleted, desperately craved food. With enough food, could advance to eagle rank. 3 supernatural beings outside the cage quietly retreated. Their movement shattered the balance. Zhou locked on a one-man. The ape lunged. I reacted instantly. Silver thread shot out, bound the man, yanked him back. He felt the terrifying gust of the ape's punch. Thought it would pulverize him. Then yanked backward. Cold sweat, gasping. Walk on the edge of death. I alter my voice with bubble layers. Your opponent is me. Don't harm the innocent. Worried Zhou would recognize my voice. He activated Zhu Yan's echo of war drums. Thump, 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 thump. I felt nothing. Vampires didn't have a heartbeat. Immune. I stood still, exuding elite master aura. Mirror-smooth armor, fluttering cloak. Red lenses from blood energy obscured my gaze, enhanced vision. Under dual enhancement, I tracked things precisely. Zhou didn't have patience. Arena was human territory. Longer he stayed, more dangerous. Ape was starving. He ripped the alloy cage from the ground, hurled it at me. Even I was startled. Reflexes lightning fast. Bubbles gave force. Leaped, slammed palms against cage, pushed off backward. Silver threads latched on his chandeliers, pulled me clear. Narrowly avoided. Deafening explosion. Cage slammed into stands, shaking the arena. Walls cracked. If it had landed on me, split in two. Wouldn't have died, but wouldn't have felt good. The ape exhaled steam. Attack consumed energy. Failed to hit. But Zhou realized I was avoiding attacks, not taking them head-on. My strength was inferior. He ripped away protective barriers from stands. Grabbed 2 massive ones. Attack radius exploded from 2 meters to 10. Within 10 meters could swap me to death. I watched, brow twitching. Zhou launched the ape forward like a cannon shell, swung both barriers inward like pincers to crush me. My hands twitched, for silver threads danced like serpents, cleanly slicing the barriers. Threads contained silver blood and my own blood. After Nora's 10 kilograms of silver, I had plenty. Even after armor, surplus for offense and defense. Couldn't reproduce sky-covering web while maintaining armor. Maximum 4 to 5 threads. Reach 50 to 350 meters. More than enough. Barriers disintegrated into fine shards before reaching me. My armor remained pristine, preserving my mysterious presence. After his weapon was destroyed, Zhou roared furiously, hurled remaining barriers, launched forward like an artillery shell at me. Head-on style put me under tremendous pressure. The ape was a pure stat monster. Strength, speed, explosive power, all absurd. Without silver blood boosting reflexes, I'd have died instantly. Intense heat made it a scorching fireball up close. Without armor, blistering drafts alone would have scalded me. I shot silver threads, latched onto a chair, pulled, created a bubble under my toes, propelled backward. A massive fist grazed past my face. Terrifying heat wave. Punch slammed into the ground, created a crater. I backflipped, landed on a chair. Before catching breath, the ape used momentum to leap forward, flinging its arm in a brutal clothesline. This straightforward style tested abilities to the ultimate. Nerves stretched tight, fixed eyes on its movement. When Jotai smashed down, I used bubble compression to dodge. Punch missed. The ape hurled a chair. Still in the air, I used silver threads for evasive maneuvers I could never normally perform, narrowly escaping. After that barrage, Jotai caught on. So you're just a little fly. Realized I wasn't that strong. My appearance was a bluff. Went all out. Forced the ape up. Muscles surged, charged like a boulder. One hit would gravely injure me. I kept retreating, jumping between stands and arena, shifting and dodging. Suddenly, both froze, gazes snapping to the ceiling. Something falling. Deafening boom. A 5-meter-tall, ox-headed giant smashed through the ceiling like a devil, landed in the arena's center, shattering the floor. The Minotaur glanced at the ape. Interesting. A bloodline awakening to this degree. Jotai felt a profound urge to retreat. This Minotaur was genuinely terrifying. But before he could move, the Minotaur scanned the arena, fury in his tone. But you deserve to die. Black flames erupted from the Minotaur. Jotai couldn't process his movements. A sweeping battle axe strike cleanly severed the ape's head. Eyes widened in disbelief, unable to accept such abrupt, helpless defeat. After decapitating, the axe slammed into the ground. Arena trembled, cracks spread like a web. I drew a sharp breath. Tides turned too rapidly. One moment running for my life, next the ape was dead. The Minotaur was too powerful. Expected of the mighty Ox King, Tang Dali, #1 powerhouse of Silver City. Household name: Bull Demon King bloodline, strongest supernatural being in the city. Owned shares in this arena among many businesses. After killing the ape, Tang Dali's domineering aura vanished. Walked to me warmly, grasped my hand, bowed repeatedly. Thank you for holding back this ape. Compensation payouts would have drained me. Let me take you out for a meal. I replied it was my duty. Couldn't pull my hand free, showed my badge with my left hand. He awkwardly let go. I called combat police to seal the scene. Condensed blood energy into a blood-red sword. Walked to the ape's severed head. Needed an autopsy for evidence. Tang Dali jogged over to Zhang Shou, administering medical aid, giving enthusiastic thanks. As I raised the sword, the ape's eyes snapped open, glared with pupils drowning in hatred. I drove my sword into the center of its brow, traced a line through the cranium. Bones remarkably dense, immense effort to pry open. Inside, my eyes widened, completely unlike a normal brain. Folds and grooves had aligned to form ancient characters. Those who face battle, the soldiers and warriors? I photographed the characters, harboring theories. Drove the sword deeper. Nerves shot out. I used silver threads to bind and restrain them. As expected, brain-clinging neural parasites. Sent photos to Jin Sheng. Less than 10 seconds, he replied. Preserve the corpse. Await backup. In less than a minute, vehicles arrived with sirens. From Jotai's outburst to death at Tang Dali's hands, only about 3 minutes. My standoff lasted 10 seconds. Had Tang Dali not arrived, I'd have needed an escape within minutes. Combat police hadn't come after my call. They'd been rushing after spectators called emergency services. I presented my badge, instructed them to seal the arena. Nobody in or out. With Zhang Shou present, anyone savable would be saved. Those who couldn't, no point attempting. Ambulances directed to wait to the side. Half an hour later, golden light descended through the ceiling hole. A young man with carefree air introduced himself. Chilean Support Department, code name Ether. I verified his badge. Wickedness Purging Squad, code name Salted Fish. Transferring custody of the white ape and the parasite to you. Ether grinned. Nothing can go wrong on my watch. Flicked his sleeve. The body vanished. Placed the parasite in a box, stored it in his sleeve. Asked if that was Cosmos within the sleeve. Embarrassment crossed his face. High-level technique. I just stitched spatial pouches into my sleeves. Showed me. Several pouches sewn into the lining. Feeling embarrassed, he hurriedly said goodbye. Golden light enveloped him. Shot into the sky. disappeared. Ether brought the ape's corpse and a brain-clinging neural parasite to Qilin headquarters. The entire research department pulled an all-nighter dissecting and studying the two specimens. By morning, a massive amount of data reached Qilin's top executives. After reviewing, every one of them instantly realized the severity of the situation. An emergency meeting on the aberrant parasites was called at once. Meanwhile, Zhang Shou and I sat in Silver City's Public Security Bureau. Across the desk sat Tang Dali. I began questioning. Name, gender, age 98, rank lower wolf. Where were you when the arena incident broke out? Tang Dali's expression twisted. Can we skip this? I maintained professional demeanor. Please answer. If an ordinary officer were interrogating, he'd have played dumb. The problem was our badges on the desk. Even though we were young enough to be his great-grandsons, he dared not be careless. I'd caught the higher-ups' attention, enjoying the emperor's favor. Couldn't be underestimated. Tang Dali scratched his head sheepishly. At Rain Pavilion, getting a foot massage. I nudged Zhang Shou, whose eyes lit up. He noted the statement. Tang Dali wasn't the only one summoned. All arena shareholders, staff, security brought in. Accountability, fines, compensation payouts ahead. As we stepped out, combat police leader Zhang Kai thanked us. They couldn't exert enough pressure on powerful individuals. With us stepping in, much easier. Normally we wouldn't overstep, but this involved aberrant parasites. We'd intervened for latest intelligence. Half an hour later, we received the hunting team report. Zhang Shou read it. Gold Nugget Mountain? That's far outside Silver City. Zhang Kai explained military bases cleared high-risk creatures. Nearby mountains, just small fries. Arena wanted a challenge, had to go farther. Parasites were still near Gold Nugget Mountain yesterday. Couldn't have gone far. I contacted Jin Sheng about a long-range strike. Lion Radiance. Situation is more complicated. Sending a file. The file was Zhou Tai's medical record from Songshan Psychiatric Hospital. Cloud backup survived even though physical archives were destroyed. Zhou Tai had dissociative identity disorder. Primary personality had a good nature. Alternate personalities were highly problematic. 9 distinct personalities confirmed. They called each other boss, number 2 through number 9. Boss, the primary personality, had already been replaced by an aberrant parasite. Status unclear. Number 2 collected human fingers. Nearly bit off Chun Chingsong's finger. Man of few words, inscrutable. Number 3 was playful, but emotions wildly unpredictable. Most talkative. Much intelligence came voluntarily from him. Number 4 was sinister, a skin-peeling artist. Obsessed with beautiful physiques. Number 5 was completely insane, pure homicidal maniac. Frenzied intent to kill, self-harming tendencies. Almost impossible to communicate with, but obeyed other personalities. Remaining personalities emerged much later. Traits and behaviors completely unknown. My brow furrowed. Dealing with one Zhou Tai was a headache. Now 8 personalities. Not sure which one I'd encountered. Zhou Tai could move freely between parasites, switching bodies. Unless all parasites were eradicated, couldn't kill him. Danger level, originally serpent rank. Upgraded to dragon rank due to my intelligence. Greater threat than the entire parasite swarm. If Zhou Tai unlocked all supernatural creatures' potential, humanity would face an army of high-ranked monsters. I handed my phone to Zhang Shou. After reading, his expression turned grave. At this rate, wouldn't it be impossible to wipe them out? Parasites could infect any organism. Cockroaches or rats with staggering reproductive rates spread worldwide. Humanity could never hunt them all down. I turned serious. Don't panic. Higher-ups have noticed. They'll deploy powerhouses for Zhou Tai. Let's wait. Dragon rank threat got highest priority. I was curious how many top-tier powerhouses they'd send. Goal would be exterminating parasites. As long as one remained alive, Zhou Tai could never truly die. Next day, a military aircraft landed at a base outside Silver City. After school, Zhang Shou and I got a message from Jin Sheng. Drove through 2 security checkpoints, entered the base. Greeted him. Captain, Jin Sheng was alone, fiery and imposing, like a lion among men. He smiled. Thought I'd be stuck in Yinjing for half a year, but you scored another massive achievement. Witnesses have complicated backgrounds, so headquarters hurried me back to shield you. I was curious. Shield us. He put away his smile, looked serious. Struggle between nations over supernatural matters never ceased. You made quite a splash. Foreign hostile forces might view you as a future threat. They'd love to eliminate you before you grow. Foreign factions infiltrated by bestowing powers on ordinary people, controlling them through contracts and death curses. Many spies fell into these traps. Aside from intelligence, they assassinated promising talents. My battle with Zhou Tai was intense enough to draw hostile attention. Zhang Shou got worried. Salted fish is in massive danger. That's why I came back early. The thing you wanted is now. His expression turned serious. Attention. We snapped to attention. Jin Sheng took out a medal, looked at me. Headquarters concluded you played a vital role in the Silver City incident. You disrupted the parasite's plan, made significant contributions. I award you the first-class merit medal. My eyes welled. As he pinned the medal, I offered a solemn salute, which he returned. Zhang Shou got second class. We each received a spatial ring. Mine contained 50 kilograms of silver. Jin Sheng said the commendation was supposed to wait until headquarters. But Zhou Tai had mastered awakening supernatural creature bloodlines. Couldn't give him more time. Schedule would be extremely tight. Zhang Shou asked if he was eliminating Zhou Tai. Jin Sheng shook his head. Operation under General Zhao Yi. Military bases from 5 cities would blockade 7,000 kilometers around Gold Nugget Mountain. All squads would assemble and enter from different directions to eliminate every parasite. The scale left us startled. Jin Sheng asked Zhang Shou to step outside. Needed to speak with me alone. I asked what Zhang Shou couldn't hear. Envy flashed across Jin Sheng's face. Headquarters agreed to your request. He picked up a metal briefcase, entered passwords, verified identity. It clicked open. Temperature plummeted. Inside was a pen injector. This is the blood of Pangu. Headquarters granted your application. You're to inject it in front of me. Top-tier treasure even blood race progenitors can't get. Jin Sheng was envious. For a single drop, he'd spent all merit points and taken massive debt. I'd obtained it directly. I asked sheepishly, "Can I just suck it out with my fangs?" I was curious what it tasted like. No intention of injecting. Jin Sheng's temples throbbed. Injecting has high probability of strengthening bloodline abilities and eliminating weaknesses. I'd evolved from ordinary to enhanced vampire, gaining abilities ordinary vampires lacked. Currently weak to garlic, crucifixes, holy energy. Injecting would likely erase 1 or 2 weaknesses. I was unmoved. I still want to taste it. I'm a vampire. With new abilities every 10 heartbeats. No telling when I'd awaken something like garlic blood. Didn't care about weaknesses. After this, applying again would be incredibly difficult. Opportunity might never come again. Had to taste the difference. Seeing I remained unwavering, Jin Sheng closed his eyes, sighed. Fine, the blood of Pangu is your reward. Handle it however you please. As long as it doesn't leave this room. I cheered. Thank you, Captain. He hesitated. Make sure you don't regret it. I nodded. No regrets. Press the injector against my fangs. Push down. Suck the blood in. The moment I fully absorbed it, I felt drunk on blood, while my long-dormant heart thudded violently against my chest. I felt plunged into a boundless sea of chaos. Flailed desperately, but useless. Cleared one patch, more rushed in. Endless loop. Exasperated, thrashed wildly, wishing I had an axe to split everything apart. Among vampires existed an exceedingly rare ability to read memories by drinking blood. Aside from the progenitor, only 2 vampires had ever awakened it. Couldn't be acquired afterward. Only happened the moment one became a vampire. Nora's cousin and I had a lesser, incomplete version. When blood drunk, we faintly sensed information fragments in the blood, but forgot everything after regaining senses. When I drank the blood of Pangu, This incomplete ability became whole. Massive influx of information. My physiology, already different from normal vampires, hurtled down an even more abnormal path. Back in the room, I stood swaying. A blood-red bubble popped from my head, floated in midair, then more manifested, enveloping me completely. Jin Sheng stepped back. Knew I got blood drunk, but last time I'd just been knocked out. Something went off script. I waved chaotically. The bubbles shifted from blood red into a riot of colors. Vividly brilliant, losing blood energy's dark aura. I fell into one, drifted into deep sleep. The bubble floated freely. Countless others gathered, revolving in orbit. Jin Sheng was speechless. I exuded an indescribable sacred sanctity. Waited a while, no sign of waking. Stepped forward, coated his hand in golden light, touched a bubble. Texture peculiar. Felt like touching a space-sealing energy barrier. Applied force. No deformation until Sparrow rank showed a faint ripple. Only at Serpent rank did it distort. Raised to Eagle rank. Trembled violently. A bit more and it would burst. Withdrew his hand. Immense potential. If I grew stronger, could become formidable defense. Curious what was happening. Let me sleep it off. Walked out. Zhang Shou was guarding. You can go in, but don't disturb him. Zhang Shou slipped inside. Saw me in multicolored bubbles, asleep. Wondered if they were airtight. Wouldn't I suffocate? After a full night of deep sleep, I woke completely refreshed with an indescribable, almost miraculous sensation. Sat up, realized I was floating inside a multicolored bubble. The bubble gave me a feeling familiar to blood energy. Go higher. The bubble drifted upward. Controlled it to bob, then zip around the room. Stepped out. Recalled all bubbles. Lifted my hand. Golden energy materialized at my fingertip. Countless tiny bubbles spread out, floating, spinning according to my will. My blood energy mutated, gained a spatial attribute. As their master, I could perceive everything directly. These bubbles were locked onto spatial coordinates, anchored to specific points. Would remain fixed forever unless moved or shattered. Thinking back to my dream, my expression turned peculiar. Had I tried to create worlds but lacked strength, resulting in half-finished creations? These bubbles were independent spaces, each a miniature world. Compared to true creation, off by orders of magnitude. I pressed my hand against my chest. Heart beating. 30 times a minute, drastically slower than normal, but beating. What about abilities? Sense changes. Significantly stronger, but no new ability. Until I used silver blood to scan my chest. A second heart had formed inside my original one. Heart within a heart. Completely dumbfounded. I have two hearts. Examined the second heart. Finally understood its function. A smile formed. The blood of Pangu had brought tremendous gains. Two hearts. One was the vampire heart, the other the Panga heart. Both had their own ability trees. When one heart stopped beating, nourishment went to the dormant heart instead. Right now, my vampire heart was active while my Panga heart remained still. All nourishment funneled into the Panga heart. Once it reached a threshold, it would begin beating. Unlike the vampire heart, which awakened an ability every 10 beats, the Panga heart required 36 beats to activate a single Pangu ability. I could freely dictate which heart beat and which stayed dormant. I could now directly sense the energy stored within my hearts. My Panga heart held energy equivalent to roughly 34 heartbeats. Likely residual energy from the blood of Pangu. 2 more beats would probably trigger a Pangu ability. I wondered what abilities Panga had. Pulled out my phone. Sheelan's research had extensive records. With my first-class merit, restricted files were unlocked. Panga's abilities were classified as divine arts. Innate to Pangu, he could use them freely. For others, overwhelmingly powerful. Energy consumption staggering. The file listed divine abilities. Pangu divine strength. 100 tons of strength at Sparrow rank. Body indestructible. Strongest among Pangu abilities. Pongu space rend. Rip space open at Sparrow rank. Form spatial blades. Tremendous energy cost. Pangu transmutation. Alter living organisms into different life forms. Effects permanent. Pangu immortality. Boundless vitality. Survive being reduced to a severed head. Regenerate from a single drop of blood. Panga solar eye. Transform eyes into blazing suns. Panga spirit pearl. Spatial spirit pearl providing 50,000 cubic meters at sparrow rank. Panga's abilities were absurdly overpowered, especially Pangu immortality. I wanted it more than anything. For someone terrified of dying, it was the ultimate dream. Stack on my self-healing double insurance. With it, I wouldn't hesitate to stir up trouble anywhere. A person's personality wasn't that important. What mattered was capability. Even a coward would find courage on the front lines if strong enough. Powerless, even a stray dog would make me run. I'll put away my phone. Go all in on the Panga heart. If I didn't draw Pangu immortality, I wouldn't switch back to the vampire tree. After learning about my two hearts, I realized vampire abilities weren't all that impressive. Silver blood existed in the standard vampire tree. Blood energy was a core vampire staple. Excluding Light Feeder, my abilities were ones a normal vampire could awaken. Not unique. Light Feeder was likely tied to Nora's mutation. She was the first mixed-blood vampire who could walk in the sun. I was a wild vampire sired through direct blood injection. If Nora was a mutated mixed blood, I was a mutation of a mutation, an anomaly among anomalies. Having analyzed my condition, I exited. Dawn breaking. Soldiers standing guard. One saluted. The operation had officially commenced. I was to join deployment immediately. I returned the salute. Opened my phone. Received the classified order. Put in a Bluetooth earpiece. Captain, codename Salted Fish, requesting to rejoin. Jin Sheng replied. Head to the coordinates I marked. I'll dispatch Bluebird as your backup. Understood. Under the soldiers' astonished gazes, I formed a bubble, stepped inside, shot rapidly into the sky. Satellite systems would track me, ensuring I wasn't mistaken for an enemy. Zhang Shou and I shared deep friendship, but our abilities were incompatible. His healing was harmful to me. I already had strong self-healing. Jin Sheng assigned us to different areas. Floating in my bubble, I checked coordinates. Bubbles weren't affected by gravity. Interior was zero gravity, like outer space. Cruising past the military base, I crested into mountain ranges. Gazed at the horizon as the sun rose. So beautiful, the world stretched out in vastness. Sky met earth. Sunlight dispelled night. Sky turned blue. White clouds drifted. Mountain ranges showcased nature's artistry. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath. Felt like one with the world. Unprecedented peace and freedom. Like a soul trapped within its mortal shell for 17 years, finally set free in this boundless world. First time leaving Silver City. Indescribable emotion welled up. Tears streamed down my face. Thought of the poem on ascending the tower at Yuzhou. I think of the vastness of heaven and earth, and alone, overcome with sorrow, my tears fall. Chen Xiang shed tears from loneliness and melancholy. I wept because the world's immensity moved me. I stood atop the bubble, shouted, "Dad, I'm really happy. You were never a burden. Thank you for bringing me into this world." Wiped tears, grinned. The world was vast. One day I'd journey to grander horizons. A teal bird swooped down, perched on my bubble. Female voice, embarrassed. "I'm Bluebird. Did I catch you a bad time?" "Not all. Arrived exactly on time. Welcome the company. Genuinely happy." Bubble descended. I jumped down. "Hi, I'm Salted Fish, a vampire." The bird morphed into a young woman in green military uniform. Codename Bluebird, supernatural being. We cross-verified identities, handshake, moved forward. Bluebird introduced herself. Transform into a teal bird. Speed 10 times sound, roughly a cruise missile. Defense increases in bird form. I nodded. Mental image of a bullet punching through enemies. I told him my abilities. Upper Sparrow or lower Serpent rank. Strength 10 tons. Self-healing extremely strong. Silver threads for armor or cutting. Mutated blood energy creates spatial bubbles. Bluebird's expression turned strange. Stared in disbelief. "You're pulling my leg?" I looked at her. Active mission. Do I look like I'm cracking jokes? She conceded. Fair enough. After hearing the full breakdown, one thought remained. Where did they dig up this monster? She'd braced to play babysitter. Instead, I was absurdly overpowered. We arrived at coordinates. Checked in with headquarters. Jin Sheng said standby. We stood at a mountain foot. I created a bubble, sat on it. Need one? She shook her head, took out a chair from her spatial ring. Then a table. Then a tea set began brewing. I stared in stunned silence. You didn't read the operation plan, did you? I shook my head, pulled up the plan on my phone. Brutally simple. Seal off Gold Nugget Mountain. All personnel to positions. At noon, General Zhao launches devastating strike at center, eliminating high-level creatures. Squads clear remaining threats. Soldiers maintain secondary perimeter. Non-insect escapes. Bluebird smiled. Plan 2 simple. I shook my head. Simple the plan, more effective. As long as the general has strength, this is our best option. Sipping tea, she praised me. Pretty smart. I looked at the sun. Only past 6. Wait until noon. If Shou Tai sensed the operation, voice concerns. She chuckled. That's why we're already waiting here. Standing by didn't mean staring into space. If a parasite ran, it'd prove we'd made the right move. By 7 a.m., the sun was pleasantly warm. I experimented with my new ability. A bubble appeared at my fingertip, flew toward a tree, pierced straight through the trunk. With a thought, it curved through the air, punched a smooth hole through a boulder. The bubble was unaffected by gravity, no kinetic energy. Speed depended on my thought speed. Destructive power depended on membrane strength. I kept accelerating. After several times the speed of sound, it burst. The membrane couldn't withstand air resistance. If it had infinite durability, I could propel it to near light speed. I created 2 more. Reduced hardness, increased elasticity. Much bouncier. New idea. What if I increased stickiness? Previous effects hadn't disappeared. Created a bubble with powerful adhesive properties. Pressed my finger. Instantly stuck. Couldn't break loose even with all my strength. Unless I cut off my finger. Needed eagle rank or above to destroy the bubble. If I prepared several at choke points, I could restrain even eagle rank individuals. A bird landed nearby. I sent a bubble, attached to its back, carried it to my hand. I asked Bluebird, if parasites infest birds, does what we're doing still have meaning? Trust headquarters, she replied. Strategists considered every scenario. I nodded. First time in an operation this scale. Guess I'm nervous. Sun crept toward zenith. Bluebird whipped out a parasol, watched me. She asked, are you really a vampire? I nodded. Do you drink blood? Of course. Drank some yesterday. The blood of Pangu was still blood. Memories within it were far too painful. I wondered if Pangu was still trapped creating worlds in primordial chaos. I took out silver from my spatial ring, sucked it in casually like drinking soy milk through a straw. Bluebird felt surrealism. What kind of vampire stood under the sun and ate silver? She asked my age. 17. You. 24. Don't vampires remain frozen at the age they were turned? You'll be 17 forever. Both First Bite and wild vampires remained fixed. I nodded. No matter how many years pass, I'll always be 17. She threw me a skeptical look. Then I froze. Vampires born naturally can grow up, right? She nodded. Low fertility, but some born naturally. Stop growing at a certain age. An image formed. Years later, I remained as I was. Nora grown into a tall, mature woman. Standing together, we'd look like siblings. Or mother and son. I wonder what she'd look like grown up. Would she still be airhead? My Panga heart thumped. I cleared my thoughts, pressed my hand against my chest. Tomorrow, I'd awaken my first Panga divine art. Hopefully Pangu immortality. If not, divine strength wouldn't be bad. If not that, space rent. While I daydreamed, Zhou Tai's personalities gathered in a cave deep in the mountains. Each controlled a different body. Grim expressions. Number 2 said, looks like we're surrounded. Number 3 spoke seriously. Real problem. They've figured out our weakness. Number 5 shot up, murderous intent. Kill them all. Number 2 frowned. Priority is getting the original body out. As long as it survives, we don't die. An aberrant parasite had replaced Zhou Tai's original personality, but the remaining personalities stemmed from the original illness. They shared a common root. If that parasite were killed, they'd all die. Never revealed this weakness. Never spoken of it. That was why none could figure out how humans had discovered it. A golden metallic bead appeared from thin air, dropped into the cave. Number 2 sprang to his feet defensively. The other bodies moved to shield him, because Number 2 was using their original body. The bead rolled. Golden lines appeared on its surface. It unfolded into a golden lotus. Golden threads spread outward, dividing the cave into compartments. A blond young man appeared behind Number 2. "Good morning, everyone." Number 2 calmed down. "You don't seem to be with the authorities. If you think we're useful, we'll cooperate." The man smiled. "I like smart people. Abe no Saimai's golden lotus barrier lasts only 5 minutes. I am Plato, 12th seat of the Ancient Sages Society. Our goal is to become true gods. Interested in joining?" Number 2 smiled. "Between life and death, the choice isn't difficult." Plato grinned. "Excellent. Come with me." Number 3 reverted to his usual demeanor. "Number 2 can go, but the rest stay. This game hasn't started yet." Plato drew a golden goblet from thin air. Huaxia's Pengu, Manhwa, the river diagram, and Luo script, all targets of the Ancient Sages Society. He swirled crimson blood, emitting a faint red glow. "This is death curse blood. Anyone who willingly drinks gains a new ability, but remaining lifespan reduced to 1 day. Affects only the body, no harm to soul. Would suit you." Number 3 grinned. "Amazing. I love it." Plato smiled. "Almost out of time. Drink up." Curious what surprise awaited with willing test subjects. Number 3 took a large gulp, passed to Number 4. Every personality except Number 2 drank. They trusted Plato because anyone who found them could kill them. Surviving was slim anyway. Number 3 was using a driver's body infected by a parasite. The parasite tore through the skin. Tentacles intertwined, forming a humanoid shape. Crimson light glowed. They fused. Massive horns sprouted, chitinous scales spread, transforming into a towering devil warlord. "This feels incredible." Number 3 opened glowing red eyes. "Unbelievable. This world has layers of depth." Eyes were pools of red, no pupils, yet perceived a world far richer than before. Plato smiled. "Rather useful ability." Number 3 turned to Plato. In his vision, an illusory hell loomed behind him. Tormented souls struggled and wailed. His mouth split into a grin, rows of razor teeth. "Remarkable. Pity it only lasts a day." Plato smiled. "I'll improve death curse blood. Effects may last far longer." The other Zhou Tai's completed transformations. Each gained a unique ability. Plato glanced at his watch. About time. Picked up the lotus. "Leave a drop of blood here." This lotus will take his place as the target locked onto by the river diagram and Luo script. Stay well away from it. Plato took Number 2's arm, led him into the void, like passing through a thin membrane. Next moment, a world of flower fragrance and bird song. Endless fields of flowers, fairies danced. Number 2 asked, "Are all members as powerful as you?" "Both strong and weak. 15 stronger than me. Others close or fall short." "What does the society see in us?" "You caught our attention at the Silver General Arena. Saw your potential. That's why I'm here." Number 2 nodded. They valued the ability to awaken supernatural creatures' bloodlines. Once awakened, the society could harvest blood and mass-produce monsters. Number 2 wasn't afraid of being used. Feared having no value. As long as useful, they'd be their own. If not, lab rats on operating tables. Back in the cave, Number 3 watched Plato and Number 2 disappear into the hellscape. Seas of fire, mountains of blades. Grotesque corpses crawled. One woman reached for Number 2's foot. A blade severed her arm. She screamed. A thought. "Plato, is it your ideal world?" Watching them vanish, Number 3 laughed. "Interesting. Too much fun. This world is too entertaining. I am nowhere near finished playing with it."